music. Hey, all right. Well, hello, everybody. This is Sports Goofs number 179, and I'm Francisco, joined by my good buddy here, Charles. And yeah, 179th episode. Charles, I'm going to start with the name of this episode, what I've titled it. I've titled it Double Dragon.
Fair.
Double Dragon. The music in the background today is the Double Dragon trilogy on NES. So that's what we're gonna work with, and I think you'll know where we're headed with this, my friend, because it's been a week. It's been a very, very exciting week for me, especially. Your predictions of the year of the Francisco might actually be coming true, if it hasn't already. Well done, Charles. You are not coming in at all.
All right, now.
Yeah, now you are. That's better.
It's leading over.
Yep.
I'm fighting the inevitable. I don't want to buy a new headset because I don't think there's anything wrong with my headset. But it's one of those things of wear and tear. Sometimes it just gets bendy, and because they get bendy,
Yeah, you get the static and the cutting out and whatever, and I mean you're over here eating peanut butter and jelly with hot dog buns now.
Yeah, the real poorness. So I guess we'll start with
Yeah.
this. So I am on a new diet, day 2. And when people ask me, Charles, what's the new diet for? Is it for looks? Is it for, financial saving? Is it for vanity and everything else, or healthy living? And I said all the above. It is too expensive to buy a lot of food out there. Like a standard lunch is like $15, $20. You got to tip.
Yep.
I'm sorry, guys. You got to tip. And I said, well, September to the back end of August and September was just bad eating, just trash eating,
Indeed.
just God knows.
Same.
Yeah, and we came into it. I sent you the bandeja. We'll talk about that in a second. You heard about my chicken wing adventure on Sunday. I gotta. Sometimes you got to rein in the manicness of it. You got to get a little depressive here. So I said, all right, we're going to eat healthier. What we mean by healthier is 3 things. 1, portion control. You eat 2 slices of pizza, you don't eat 4 slices of pizza. You don't eat 3 donuts like I did. The Friday diet, kids, was 4 donuts, 24 hours, right? That's Saturday. 4 donuts and something else in between, like a cheeseburger, was the diet of my meal all day on Friday. That's not good.
No.
I mean, not healthy whatsoever. So it's portion control. It's limiting carbs and sugars. Mind you, carbs are everywhere. Stop thinking that they're bad for you. You can eat the bread. You can eat the potato. You don't eat the 6 Jolly Ranchers a day that I can do, because that's what's at the office work desk by my coworker's thing, so I steal that from her. You don't eat the donuts. Maybe you eat 1, but it's Jupiter donuts, so you really got to eat a quarter of one, because that's typical Dunkin'. There's a math to it. A quarter of Jupiter donuts is the size of a full Dunkin' donut. So I did a whole baker's dozen and then some by eating multiple. And then the third thing is, more importantly, no alcohol and mixed drinks and
more Charlo.
That's debatable, right? That's debatable what you can do. What the hell is my phone blowing off? But that is debatable on how you can do it, because sometimes you have to just enjoy life. So you're allowed cheat days. I don't follow the cheat day mentality the way a lot of people do. It's just I weigh it in. I also exercise a lot.
Yeah.
But when you look at the financial aspect of it, you're going to save some money going from there. Okay, why are we doing this? You're going to save some money. So right now, the last couple of days has been Wawa lunches that are salads, and a salad that's $6.99 or $7.99 is more economical for me if I'm eating it 4 days out of the week, because sometimes I'll just eat at home or I'll eat out, right? You're allowed, we only go around this.
Yeah, this is that's a good suggestion by you, because I've been getting I've been getting a combination of foods and salads to try, and I've been eating a lot of salad lately. I have been, because I think you had suggested hey man, maybe you should have a salad or something, because I've been I've been foraging like a raccoon as I often do, and so I'm still doing it. But my salads are I had a Cobb salad today, right?
And that's typically what I get. It's the only thing I can find that puts flavor.
Yeah, I mean, you get a nice variety of things. You got the eggs, you got the cheese, you got the little. Sometimes they have bacon on it. Sometimes they just have the chicken on it, and you get the salad. And then and I bought this at Fresh Market. It's like a mango chipotle barbecue sauce, but it's basically acts as a dressing, which I've
literally
put on there.
put Cristal on my stuff.
Yeah, and so that's what I do, and I'll actually buy extra slices of like Munster cheese, a Swiss cheese, and just kind of do that, and just do the whole raccoon thing as well, and get slices of hams and everything like that. So I have all of that. I bought a mango nectar juice just because I want something sweet. That's semi something, but it's still sugars. I get it.
Great.
I know, but it's still mango nectar reminds me of eating baby food as a baby. It has that same type of flavor profile.
I got Dill's pineapple in the fridge, so I understand completely.
Yeah, sometimes those Welch's are hit the spot. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's within reason. You can't down a whole thing because then you'll gain 3,000 calories right there. But all right, so that was our food thing. But this is not the focus.
Oh, it came up because I had PB&J and a hot dog bun, because I was out of regular bread.
Yeah.
And the thing is, two slices of bread is actually kind of filling. One hot dog bun bread is not at all.
The surface area is not the same. It's not the same.
And we suffer. We suffer here coming into it. So
I'm eating
that's how it all
peanut butter out of a jar right now as my dinner. So, and it's at the bottom too. It's the reduced fat peanut butter, which I honestly don't really like too much, but I've gotten used to it now, and I'm okay with it.
I don't even bother. I'm very much of like in it to win it or in for a penny for a
Are
pound.
you a crunchy guy? I like crunchy as well.
I could do crunchy. I could do smooth. For me, I don't. This will make people laugh. I legitimately I don't do low fat diet anything. I just eat it or I don't eat it. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. Like milk, give me the red. I can live with blue, but my family would complain too much about it, and it does taste different when you go back to red and you go back to blue. You're like, this is just water.
It tastes different if especially when you cook with it. So
yeah, and I think that's what my overall drive is to it. Like low fat yogurt, no, just eat the yogurt. Just buy the small yogurts. I mean, common sense, guys. Because you want to know why? The stuff that will kill you is better for you, taste wise. We're on that dopamine serotonin high. The only thing that
there's been a lot of dopamine for you this week.
Yeah, well, the stuff that doesn't help me ride the dragon is the fact that I can just eat my feelings instead of injecting myself. There's no such thing. I've had people like low fat ranch or low fat blue cheese. I'm like, get that shit away from me. Curse word number one. I'm like, but no, that's warranted. I'm like, I know what I'm getting here. But that's the food update for everybody to understand, just so they know.
All right. Well, the focus of this episode, Charles, is because I became the petty dragon over the weekend.
And I was sleeping.
Yeah. I swallowed the secret stone, and I've lost all manner of my old self, and I'm just a wandering dragon just spreading petty across the land. And I think you swallowed a little bit of it too, Charles.
There was nothing swallowed, buddy. That was
You're riding the dragon.
Yeah, I'm riding. Well, I am the dragon in that sense.
You're collecting the petty stuff petty crusts off my scales.
Yep.
So
I Zelda'd it. That's what happened. You were getting. I was just trying to do all. And kids, it's not a spoiler. Game was out for like 5 months now. Get over it. But that's essentially it. I had to make a determinative choice to be the kind of petty I had. Yours was always there.
Well, the Marlins made the playoffs.
Yay!
They're playing Game 1 tonight against the Phillies at 8 o'clock, and I have to get the petty in now because at 8 o'clock it all could just go away. And I don't want to end up like the Tampa Bay Rays, who always seemingly have great baseball teams in the regular season, but just can't seem to get it done during the postseason. They have one up They have one upped what the A's did with the Moneyball thing, but neither one can still actually pull the damn thing off.
And they can't seem to get out of the wild card the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like maybe they get into divisional. Andrew, who is, on his sabbatical, would probably say, but we've made it to the World Series before the Yankees have. That's all fine and dandy. But the difference is that when you guys decide to let all the great players go, and it's a continual basis, it's getting the same kind of like chaos theory, the same way of what happens if the Twins don't play the Yankees in a wild card or divisional roundup. They might advance, which is a possibility. The same thing with Tampa. If you could just get like a 1 seed, you don't have to worry about a wild card whatsoever, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, any other normal year, they probably would have been the 1 seed, but Baltimore was better of all teams. And Baltimore might actually do the Moneyball thing better than everybody else at this point. I think only the Royals have been like the best team to put together the Moneyball type of thing in all this time. But let's not talk about those other teams. Let's talk about the Marlins because, Charles, I have some grievances.
You have complaints and grievances?
I have complaints and grievances and everything like that. Because, look, this season was not meant to be like this. At least as far as I had expected it. I've just certain things. But you know what? Sometimes magic does happen, Charles. And this seems to be that with the year of the Francisco. With my beloved Panthers, my beloved Miami Heat. Now by my beloved Marlins making the playoffs.
I mean, I did title it. You were in denial saying, no, it'll be year of Andrew or Charles Redo. I'm like, nah, man, I felt it. Something.
Yeah.
Charles Stradamus is also an empath, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an empath anyway in real life. But Charles Stradamus is just like Charlo. 2 different things that cannot be understand and capable of. So, yes.
So, I document what's going on. I'm Marlins historian. I do the things. I'm tracking how the fans are doing. I'm tracking how the team is doing. I'm seeing how things were in the past and all the pain and the suffering and just reminiscing about something that happened 20 years ago now, making me feel old. But the Marlins, coming out of the All-Star break, looked really good. 14 games over 500. Looked like they were, if they just were 500 the rest of the way, they'd be a lock for the playoffs. They had probably one of the worst Augusts you could ever have. Coming out of the All-Star break, went 0-8 immediately.
They shut down your Perez kid.
Well, yeah, they shut down Eury Perez at like the weirdest, wrongest time, possibly. And everything just started to fall apart. They actually at one point fell 1 game below 500. That was probably the rock bottom of the season.
And you were very sad boy behind bars.
Yeah, I was already calling it. I'm like, the season's over. I think a lot of people were like me. But I've been very, very bipolar across this entire season. You know, the Marlins would come back and I'd be like, season's back on. And September happened. And a lot of guys stepped up. Unfortunately, we lost our ace. Sandy is done. And it seemed like it was over then too. But I think the greatest things were we picked up two players, Josh Bell and Jake Berger.
The cheeseburger.
Yep. You know, getting free food from Burger King and Taco Bell because of how impactful they've been with the fish. And Jazz Chisholm actually being healthy for a month. Actually being an actual superstar player, in at least the one that we were hoping he would become. Carrying the team, carrying the offense. Luis Arias, God bless him, the Venezuelan Tony Gwynn, got injured last week of the season as well. But guys stepping up to fill in the holes, and everybody's just surprise heroes every now and then. You got Jacob Stallings getting a hit. You got these other guys. I mean, Garrett Hampson. You know, you have Jesus Luzardo becoming the real number 2 starter for this team. Braxton Garrett, Eury Perez came back and started getting back to form. And Johnny Cueto gave us one good start, Charles, at the most crucial time that we needed it. He gave us one. by some miracle. He's not even on the playoff roster. He didn't make it. But he gave us one. And
he's basically done this season, I would assume.
Essentially, unless they make it past and they need another arm somewhere, but I doubt that we're still going to use him at all.
I mean, 1 inning. Can he give you a 1 inning as a hold guy? That's all you ask for.
Yeah, but even then, there's no real confidence because he's been giving up bombs like crazy. So, regardless, he gave us one good start. And I don't know if you noticed, but it's raining in the studio, Charles. Because
it's raining, man. Hallelujah.
Well, it's petty raining down from the heavens.
Jeez.
But I have a fucking beef with the New York Mets.
Oh, yeah. Please, and I can easily support this. By all means,
So,
Francisco.
first curse word, but I feel like I'm going to say a lot of them.
I will do
So, we go into the last week of the season, and we're basically in a 4-team race with the Chicago Cubs, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Cincinnati Reds. And the Marlins have 6 games left. They found a way to finish off the last game of the season. I went with Andrew at home, the last home game of the season. And six games left to try and nab one of those 2 spots, the 5th and the 6th seed in the National League. And so they go over to New York, to Queens, where Charles is from.
True.
But, Charles doesn't cheer for the Mets.
The New York Mids.
There you go. They go to Queens, and they were supposed to play on a Monday, and lo and behold, the field is not ready for play because there's a tropical storm Ophelia. But the New York Mets, because no matter who buys them, no matter what happens, they are the New York Mets. And they'll always find a way to fuck something up, too. I like this new thing that we're doing. We're counting them now. But, yeah, it rained all weekend in New York City. But the New York Mets grounds crew, a bunch of buffoons, a bunch of shitheads, 3, decided not to tarp the field. Because moving the water off the grass is not the difficult part of dealing with a lot of rain on a baseball field. They have the drainage pipes and all those other things to try and get water off the grass, and all these baseball stadiums have state-of-the-art technology to try and prevent all of that. But it's the dirt that you really got to watch out for, because dirt becomes mud, and mud becomes sticky and hard and all kinds of stuff, and just difficult to work with, and you got to bring in truckloads and truckloads of dirt in order to fix it up, right? So, an entire weekend of just rain upon rain upon rain, almost nonstop, without it being tarped. So they come back on Monday, and the field is completely gone to shit for. So the New York Mets can't play because they can't tend to their own dumbass field. That's 5? Okay, I'll count it as 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's still a curse word. It's just we've gotten so used to dumbass not being.
Yeah, it's on TV. So they put a double header. The Marlins have to play a double header. The Cubs don't have to play that. The Reds don't. The Diamondbacks don't. No, the Marlins have to play a doubleheader. Steve Cohen apologizes. Fuck you.
6.
Fuck you, man. 7. Your shitty apology.
8.
Completely patronizing. You know what the shit you were doing, man. They had the entire weekend to do it. Every other grounds crew in baseball would have covered up the field, but not the New York Mets. So, Marlins play a doubleheader. They lose the first one 11-2. And it's like, oh, great. This sucks. But then we have the Johnny Cueto game, Charles. And the Marlins win the second game of the doubleheader. And suddenly things are okay. The Marlins are they were usually within a game behind of the Cubs and the Diamondbacks. They were right there. But, so they got 2 games in. There's still one more game they have to play on a Wednesday, Charles, in New York. And all of the forecasts say that it's going to rain hard at night in New York City over Queens. And I don't see how the Mets couldn't have gotten it done, because the New York Yankees found a way to get the games in against the Diamondbacks. And Diamondbacks really needed those games. So they were at Yankee Stadium, and they found a way, because, the New York Yankees know what the fuck they're doing, Charles. 10.
We're also effective. We actually
Exactly.
know how to run an organization to field. We take pride.
Indeed.
We take pride in Yankee Stadium.
In
Unlike
classiness.
unlike the Mets, who their biggest highlight is Men in Black. That's what
Yeah.
Shea Stadium is most known for, which is what now Citi Field Stadium.
Yeah.
Please,
So,
please.
so they found a way, but the New York Mets couldn't. Well, and I also have to lay a lot of blame on Major League Baseball and the umpires as well, because they are also part of this. But this all started because the Mets couldn't tend to their field. None of this would have happened if the Mets had just done the bare minimum of covering the field. In any case,
what they did, may I interrupt? What they did was they probably hyped up in the media how good their field was and how it's the best field and no one could chance it, and they actually put any effort into the product. That's right. Enjoy that, Petty.
So, $300 million. So, week happens. So, we're on Wednesday. And normally when this stuff happens, they'll move the game up, right? All right, let's play at 1 o'clock. Even if it's still drizzling outside, we could still get the game in because it's not raining cats and dogs. So they didn't do that. Fine, the game starts at the regular game time, 7 o'clock in New York. 7:10, whatever they put there. So the Marlins have to get the game in. And the game is happening, and the Marlins, bless their offense, but they are top 10 in hits in Major League Baseball, but they are near the bottom in actually scoring runs. So it's a slog to get the Marlins to actually score the runs once the guys are on base. Regardless, they were down 1-0 in the 8th inning. But then the New York Mets became the New York Mets and gave up the lead in the 9th inning. Marlins were leading 2-1, and the rain is pouring, Charles. Just absolutely, like it's happening in the studio right now. And the umpires with, I think there was 1 out, or 2 outs actually. The Marlins had taken the lead. The umpires decide, okay, let's stop right now. Rain delay. Rain delay happens. And I'm looking at the radar. Everybody's looking at all the radars. And it is just green and red. And just, it's just rain. Rain, rain, rain. And it's not stopping. It's not stopping at all. So we're waiting. And you just need a half inning, Charles. Just all we needed was Jorge Soler to get up there, swing at 3 pitches no matter where they were, and then get inside and try and get 3 outs. We're waiting and waiting and waiting. 3 hours are going by. It is near 1 a.m., Charles. I am waiting because
he's awake at this point.
I am awake. I am tweeting. I am doing all the things. I'm finding old stuff about rain delays about the Marlins and how our grounds crew found a way to get it done. Even in the World Series, there was a rain delay and they found a way to get it done. And 1 o'clock happens. There's a 20-minute window, Charles. Everybody knew the 20-minute window. I became a meteorologist that day. 20-minute window. That's enough with all the new rules and all that stuff to get the guys on and off the field and do whatever they can do and play, and that's it, right? And the New York Mets. I mean, what the fuck, guys? 11? That's 11.
11. Yeah, you were good. You went on a 5-minute tirade without cursing.
First off, you have nothing to play for. Second of all, this ain't like other years anymore, where you guys are so mid, you can't be the worst at tanking, but you can't be actually good enough to make the playoffs. So you're so mid, you're gonna have a mid position in the draft. But baseball instituted a draft lottery. And you know what teams do with draft lotteries, Charles? They try and improve their chances of getting that number 1 pick. But the New York Mets, much like their counterparts at Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks, just can't seem to get that concept. Let's try and compete. Let's try and be good. Filling up their heads, thinking they're actually going to be competitive every year, and they just go to shit. 12. So it would improve your draft lottery stakes if you could just lose. Just lose.
But
they didn't. In any case, 20-minute window. But the New York Mets grounds crew have their heads up their asses. 13.
Yeah.
And are just standing around doing nothing. Skip Schumacher, who should be the manager of the year after
Fair.
all of this happening, goes out and actually physically goes out and helps the grounds crew get the tarp off the infield dirt, because they actually covered it this time. They actually covered it this time.
The type of petty that we aspire to be, kids.
He is helping them try and get this game in. And everybody's just standing around doing nothing. The rain has slowed down. It's visible. You can see shit. Just get some of those things. Move the water off the grass as much as possible. Get a bunch of dirt from in the storage room and just start pouring it all over the place and try and make it as smooth and as dry as possible. And let's get this thing in, right? Do as much as you can in 5 minutes. But everybody's just standing around. Major League Baseball ain't doing shit. The umpires ain't doing shit. And especially the grounds crew ain't doing shit. We're at 15? Anyways. Yep. Or 16, actually. So, Skip Schumacher is irate. I don't know what he said, but he said a lot more curse words than I've said in these 16 times to whoever the head of the Mets grounds crew is. Right, it's Kevin James. It's the Kevin James meme right now. That's going around. That's what the New York Mets grounds crew guy kind of sort of looked like, actually.
Is it fair to say that all umpires have a build of Kevin James?
And when is the last time Kevin James has been relevant? Actually,
these
memes, actually, yeah.
And I can't stand it because I'm not a Kevin James guy. King of Queens, that's because Jerry Seinfeld's dad was good in it.
Yeah, and Leia was really good too.
Yeah, and I didn't care about Paul Blart because people got to work too.
I actually like Paul Blart.
There's just some movies that that are not your cup of tea, and that's me. And I mean Chuck and Larry.
Oh no, anything else with Adam Sandler and him is just dog shit. Yeah. 17. In any case, they're not getting the game in. It's too late. And the Marlins still have to travel to Pittsburgh, Charles, and play the next night against the Pirates. So Major League Baseball suspends the game, and it is up in the air. And the Marlins have to go into Pittsburgh. They land like around 5:30 a.m. Have to sleep as much as possible, and then head to the ballpark. But the Marlins pulled it off, Charles. They actually came back from 3-0 down in the 8th inning to beat the Pirates. And then they clinched it on Saturday. And the game against the Mets doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The stats matter. They'll keep the stats. But the result is either going to be a tie, which is interesting, or they might revert it as just suspend, or it could be just suspended and just they played 161 and that was it. Because either way, if not, it would have been the Mets, whatever. In any case, that's what happened. So fuck you, New York Mets. 18. 19. Sorry, lost count. And, that's one petty. My other petty goes to the Chicago Cubs. I mean, y'all should have sold at the deadline. But it allowed you to become a meme again. The lovable losers are back, everybody. 116 years are going to be really fun. And for whatever reason, the baseball gods have determined that the Marlins are just going to be the Sephiroth to the Chicago Cubs. Just going to come back and just ruin their lives for no apparent reason other than just to shit on them. 20. The Cubs had all the momentum in the world. And I actually had to make deals with the devil, Charles.
You did.
Yeah. I cheered for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Who swept the Cubs.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly. I've made a pact with the rest of the National League East, including the Phillies, who we're facing today. And I'm not going to be mad at them if we lose. I'm not going to be mad at the Braves if they win the World Series. And the Nationals are there. They're fine. I don't have any problems with them. Because next year I'm going to shit on the Mets as much as I can. It's coming. 2021. So, but the Cubs, their broadcaster, John Shambi, who actually used to work for the Marlins and won a ring with them in 2003 as a broadcaster, because, you know, he wasn't even the main broadcaster. He was just like a side guy. So, you know, just just not even it's not really worth it. He didn't really earn it. And he's not catching strays. These are point blank right now. So John Shambi says that he's become total homer, by the way, with the Cubs. I don't even know if he's from Chicago or not. I'm not sure. But he's like, well, you know, the good teams should beat people's butts. It's not the good teams win close games.
Sean was born in Philly.
Yeah, okay.
I'm on at Boston College.
Oof.
Shambi grew up on Roosevelt Island, New York City. Okay. So he's just everywhere. May I make one comment on John Shambi? Because I don't really look at all the media people all the time, you know, and I'm looking at him. And Shambi at Champion Stadium, March 2008, says Wikipedia. And that man looks like Seth Rogen with spiky hair. Yeah. All I'm saying. Yeah. I can't. Well,
in any case, he said that. It was a clear shot at the Marlins. And I said that he should have his ring revoked. And, well, John, let's put it to the test. Let's see how your Chicago Cubs did in the 20 games between basically around when you said that statement to Saturday when the Marlins clinched. The Cubs went 6-14, Charles.
The Yankees played better than they did.
The Yankees were actually one of the best teams in like the last month and a half, and Aaron Boone is coming back, everybody. Aaron Boone's back.
Finished over 500.
Aaron Boone's coming back, everybody.
I deserve nice things.
You're not gonna get it.
The universe did not give me what I wanted this week. That's where my pennies gonna come from.
Well, you're getting the side job, so that's the consolation prize.
Someone's like, side job? I'm like, no, side job.
Well, it might be a side job for Cole, that's for sure.
Listen, I'm sorry, okay? I'm lotioning. I bought Cobra grips so I don't have calluses on my hands.
Yeah.
You know, I promise you, Garrett.
You're going to be busy. You got a Henry Handy as well, so.
Yeah, Charles was correct. First off, that's my petty to intervene on since it's baseball. No. I said 14, he gave me 15. I'm taking it.
Mm-hmm.
I had the faith.
Yeah, you got the minimum. You'd be on the Price is Right, you know. In any case, the Cubs completely fell apart, and they fell apart in like the funniest way. Seiya Suzuki became a meme because he suddenly can't catch the ball anymore. He had the most routine fly ball you could ever have, and just completely missed it. Wasn't that even? I don't even think he even touched his glove. He just missed it completely.
It glossed over, by like a half an inch.
Exactly, and the Braves came back and won. But the Cubs still had games that they could win against the Rockies, and they still lost to them.
Notoriously terrible.
Yes,
for years.
Yeah, and their fan bases are a bunch of cucks. Is that a curse word? That's not a curse word. Okay, and David Ross, their manager, who I don't know what his accolades are other than I was on the World Series team as the catcher, and hasn't really done anything with them.
I mean, maybe he's the ultimate Chicago cuck.
I like that. That should be a shirt.
Every Bears fan that you meet, every Bulls fan. I mean, look. Let's deviate on this for a second. Are Chicago fan bases and teams just completely unlikable?
For the most part, I think.
Yeah, because
I mean, the Blackhawks are hateable across the entire NHL now because of the Kyle Beach thing.
I feel like the Cubs a fair pass for being bad for 100 years, but then when they won it, I don't think it was as feel good as a feeling that people thought it would be. Because I was like, because my buddy's a Cubs, I'm like, hey, that's good for them. But then I'm like, right? That's how it felt, because when you really look how it positioned.
I mean, nobody cares about the White Sox. Everybody forgets they exist,
and they forgot they won a World Series.
Yeah, and they might, and
Bulls fans are like intolerable. Because you can go for the Jordan era, but my favorite thing about modern day Bulls fans is every time they get a quality player in that first year, they're like, it's the return of the MJ dynasty.
Zach LaVine is the guy.
And so we're just like, okay. Zach LaVine's like, that's what actually led to a lot of my statements in NBA where, like, when you're the only guy who goes through, you're supposed to be that guy.
Yeah.
No, this is good food for thought.
Yeah.
And then Bears fans, I have actually never met a Bears fan. I feel like they're just fans in nature, but they really won't say it out loud.
I mean, and if they do believe in anything, we know they're delusional. So.
Yeah. We're really looking at them like, I mean, all right, continue on with Phil Petty.
They single-handedly. I was going to say something about Aaron Rodgers, but
wait, no, I can always talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but in any case,
who's your daddy?
Cubs had the opportunity. They had 6 games head-to-head against the Arizona Diamondbacks. At home in Chicago and in Arizona, which was basically a home game because everybody who in Chicago apparently just dies in Arizona and retires there. And they lost all 6.
All?
They got swept completely. So you come down to the last game of the season, Charles, or for the Cubs, at least the last game they were before elimination. And you're on Saturday. The Marlins are beating the Pirates. They win. They clinch. The Diamondbacks clinch. And the Cubs.
Who is on the Diamondbacks? I was looking at this today because I'm like, oh my God, they actually made it. And all I got was Evan Longoria.
They got a young phenom.
Tommy Pham.
They got a young phenom right now. They got Zach Gallen as well.
Yeah.
They got some good pieces. That's up and coming team right now. So
that's like the joke I have, because I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody, and they've actually got the success. That's how you know someone's doing something right.
Yeah. But so I had to look back, Charles. I'm like, let me see the Cubs head-to-head matchups against the Marlins, right? Mm-hmm. Because John Schaub's like, good teams beat people's butts. And the Marlins won because they got the tiebreaker. They beat the Cubs more times head-to-head. And that was John Schaub's criticism. It's like, it shouldn't be that. It should be how run differential, all this other shit. 23? 4? I don't know. I lost count.
Around that line.
But head-to-head, the Marlins won 4 games, and the Cubs won 2. The Marlins won all of their games against the Cubs by 1 run, which has been the entire MO of the Marlins this entire season.
For 2 years, really.
Well, this season especially. They lost a ton of 1-run games last year, and they flipped it around this year and won them this time. And, it gave me not just a stiffy, Charles. I some things leaked out when I saw that. When I saw that they were all by 1 run, because these happened like back in May. Yeah, it's been a while.
Was dripping.
Yeah, the petty was dripping out of me. So I was so happy seeing that, and I tweeted it out. I actually tagged John Schaub on it too, because I wanted him to see it. I wanted him to know that I think the Cubs would have traded those close games instead of actually beating our butts. And they never did beat our butts, actually. They only beat us by one. They only beat us by 2 runs in the 2 games that they won.
So did he just pull the John Madden logic? Like, well, the only way to win is just to outscore your opponent. That kind of mindset.
No, he's saying the only way that the team should get into the playoffs is not by head-to-head matchups. No, it's just how many runs can you score in meaningless games against the Kansas City Royals by 10 runs, and if you can accumulate all of those. Just basically, if the San Diego Padres were actually good at what they fucking do. Oh, there we go. And the fraud raise, by the way.
25.
What a complete debacle of an organization. I didn't even mean to talk about the Padres.
We called that. I called that 3 years ago.
Indeed. And they even had the whole, they were trying to be like the Miami Heat. Like, oh, not 1, not 2. They were basically trying to do that. Yeah. And they didn't even get 1.
Bob Melvin ain't coming back, or whoever the hell their manager is.
Well, apparently he has beef with like the general manager, so that's gonna go down.
Yeah, because you're giving me a bunch of guys who don't perform. And may I for 2 seconds? Baseball, the true way to build a super team is not through the hitters. You build the super team through the pitching, and you're gonna let Blake Snell go. Yeah, you decided to give Yu Darvish, who I just never got the hype on.
Yu Darvish
did like a full analytical of him.
Yeah, he's a
former Cub,
overhyped, above average player that either got injured or just completely
came to the U.S. too late.
Yeah, or it wasn't really that. It was just that every time he had an opportunity to do something great in a huge scenario, he always choked.
Yeah, the super teams go into the pitching. So now you have no Blake Snell. Your decision was Yu Darvish. Other guys had left, and we look at like the 95, 98, Braves, who they had all there with Glavine and everybody else. They come into it to make me go through history and names here, but Schmaltz, blah blah blah. Glavine, rest in peace, Tim Wakefield. But those Red Sox pitching that they had with Beckett, Wakefield, and all the other remembering names that you want to bring in from there. Yeah. Yankees had some good pitching, never really in sequence, but it was there.
David Cone, Pettit, Clemens.
Rocket, going from there. The Diamondbacks, even though it was a one, because it's hard to build dynasties in baseball, in my opinion. We think too much of like the 27 with the Yanks and all that fun stuff, and then the Cardinals. But even the Cardinals, when they were put into it, it was Wainwright, Carpenter, and then whoever was the third between. You at least have a more of a chance, not the hitters, and that's what San Diego kind of did. That's just my opinion. Prove me wrong, but trust me, I know what it is to have multi-million-dollar players in the six figures going to the seven figures. You have 7 figures.
Yeah, they had all the opportunity this year too, because the Dodgers, like almost every single one of the Dodgers starters, got injured and is out for the season right now.
You want to talk about the super team? They're the case in point, where they always have the pitching, and of course Clayton Kershaw. Clayton is now never going to get 30 games a year.
Yeah, I mean, but he's at the end of his career. But regardless, I mean, but the Dodgers had so much like injuries with their players. Like this wasn't like the juggernaut Dodgers that we've seen in the regular season, at least, because they haven't really done it in the postseason in a full season. But they still found a way to win 90-plus games and win the West. San Francisco fell apart because they can't deal with Babe Kapler's handsomeness.
Yeah. They're getting the 3 a.m. you up texts. They're like, oh, man.
They're going to get Buck Showalter.
And we called that, too. Called that, too.
You're talking about a handsomeness downgrade. That's probably the most precipitous of all time.
Yeah. I not happy.
Yeah.
It's just so weird, but San Diego just bails it, and I think this is also good petty, also year-end review.
Yeah, I mean, this is all baseball. I mean,
this is a sports show, everybody.
We're at 45 minutes, but it's still the pettiness that I wanted to bring into it. I got with the Cubs. Yeah, I did with the Mets. Marlins have their injuries. I already talked about that type of stuff. I think the worst team in baseball ended up being the A's. So, we'll see what happens with that. The Mets, once again, LOL with their roster and just everything with that.
So can we explain to people, if they don't understand, why everybody just wants to gang beat up the Mets every time, including us? It's because you literally hold on to that 2015 World Series appearance that you didn't even successfully take to 7, right? They lost within 5. That's 1. 2. You get these players and you seem to ruin the pitching that you have in a very short window. DeGrom, Wheeler, I think they have a Snyder in there somewhere. Then the guy who's Syndergaard, thank you. Thor is, I think, the nickname. Then they had the Matt Harvey kind of thing going on. It's amazing because you're generally producing guys who were Cy Young winners for DeGrom.
Or candidates, yeah.
Or candidates, but it's just all around top to bottom, and you couldn't get from there. And you will hold dudes hostage. Very similar to another GM, but in a different sport. And my whole thing, to bring into San Diego, what you should have done is decide, hey, Soto, we're going to trade you and get all the pitching that we need. you can at least reload and retool and still have a chance, because it's supposed to be easier now with 3 spots. Like, the East was supposed to be the powerhouse, but literally we know that the third vacancy wasn't for the Mets, but it was for the Marlins. And then you get Steve Cohen, who, listen, all, if not most, basketball, baseball, and football owners are pricks, but it takes a lot. Where we used to have the Steinbrenner legacy, and you really had to be a Yankee fan to tolerate Steinbrenner, to go and then just look at Steve Cohen and be like, you know what? I wish Steinbrenner wasn't dead. Fuck this guy. 3. And that's how I felt about Cohen. The expectations, and then just everything was so bad, and they don't know who their operatives are.
I mean,
go ahead.
Buck Showalter's. They didn't fire him at all. It wasn't that he was fired or whatever. It's just like, he's like, nope, I'm out. Like,
he was fired, but they gave him the grace.
Exactly. Well, that's one.
Let's call it.
Well, that's one. But also, I think because he's still going to manage. It's like, oh, I'm old. I'm just not going to do it no more. No, he wants to manage because he does have a ring. So I think that's ultimately what Buck Showalter wants to get to legitimize his entire career.
He can go to Los Angeles, and they can just like, yeah, sure.
But
go with the Angels.
Well, that ain't happening. That's my next. That's where I'm going next.
Oh.
But I lost my point. Anyways, I lost.
It's just easy to hate the Mets.
Yeah, the Mets are rebuilding. That's my point. The Mets are rebuilding, so expect them to be around. Actually, the Washington Nationals almost surpassed them, and the Nationals have,
for the Nationals.
They have some good young pieces. It seems like next season they have like a 5 to 10 game jump. I could see it, but the Mets, I don't. The direction is aimless right now.
You can only work on Pete Alonso for so long. Yeah. I mean, you have that one Japanese player. I forgot his name.
Senga, the pitcher. Yeah, he was good. Yeah. He was good.
He was good, but I don't know, man.
They really just have 3 players. They have 4. Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and
Michael Conforto. Is he still doing good?
I mean, I don't know. That's like the first time I've heard his name in quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the whole thing. Like, I thought about him before even Lindor came around, because Lindor, I think, had an off year.
Yeah,
and that was the guy that came into big time,
big money.
It's how do I want to say this? You literally can make a sandwich, but for some reason you put the bread in between the meats instead of the meat in between the bread. That's the best way I can analogize the Mets the last 9 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the National League's page. That's pretty straightforward. The Reds had a good bounce back season for after being kind of mid for a few seasons or bad. More like a decade, really. The Diamondbacks are finally back. The Giants fell apart. They just had a really bad September. They just completely fell apart. The Rockies are terrible, and we're the worst team in the National League. The Cardinals are in last place for the first time in like 100 years, which is funny. And the American League, we already talked about the A's and the Royals. They were terrible and everything like that. Not historically terrible for the A's at the very least, but and the White Sox are funny as well. And Cleveland's just kind of there. Miguel Cabrera retired, and everybody's whatever. And Charles thinks he takes PEDs.
I'm saying it right now.
He's not Dominican though. He's not Dominican.
Oh man, well I was about to say, like, Venezuelans don't do drugs. I'm sorry. What?
Not those type of drugs.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not saying that I wouldn't party with Miggy. I'm just saying that
Miggy's an alcoholic. He's not a drug addict.
Sure, I know powerlifters who eat like shit and they still roid up, man. I'm just saying that they never took that hot piss test the way they when you have the Barry Bonds glow up, looking like freaking Gumby.
But no, he didn't have that. He's been gradually getting fatter for like the last 20 years. Have you seen the transition?
2013 to 2015 run. Just saying.
I don't think so. I think he was always just kind of been pudgy, and he just kept getting pudgier and pudgier with age. That's it. It's alcohol and arepas, okay?
I feel that you guys are gaslighting me because now we're hitting a person who literally has no bad stain on his reputation repertoire.
Well, he had the drunk driving thing. That's why he had to go to AA and all that type of stuff, and
when he met AA, he met somebody like, hey,
he also got
He
also had the baby mom on the side as well.
Like I said, I would party with Mickey. You don't have to sell me on this man. Yeah. I'm just saying, check his butt for pockmarks.
He's 20 years, and they did all the time, I mean, they didn't catch Pujols. So,
that man is built like a machine. No pun intended to the nickname.
But Miguel Cabrera is too. I don't know if you've ever seen him like in person. He's huge.
No, I haven't. It's been so long since I looked into him. Like, I don't follow Detroit. The Tigers have been the Tigers have been.
It's been a decade since they were relevant. Yes.
I was gonna say a better one because they had also stellar pitching and they couldn't do anything. The Tigers for so long have literally been like that one piece of tissue paper in your ass that after you wiped you just can't get rid of, and they're just there and you accept it. You hope that it shakes out. That's what they are to me in that sense. I know it's very descriptive, but it makes sense.
Ass is 4, right? Is that 4 on you?
Are we even in the way that we're saying it contextually?
Yeah, I get. Okay, fine. I won't count it.
I mean, yeah, fine, 4, sure. I disagree.
Very mild 4, but
yeah, but I think it was more to prove a point. That team they had so much potential, but Jim Leland just ruins opportunities. There's a reason why Jim Leland didn't get jobs that opened up after he was fired.
Well, he was already too old, so he retired.
I'm sorry if Dusty Baker can.
He got his ring. You just need Dusty. You just need one, and you just need to last a long time to get into the Hall of Fame as a manager. Yeah, you just need the one. So Dusty's getting in. Leland's getting in. Tito is definitely getting in. He's got 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he got to, 2 separate World Series, with 2 different franchises. I think.
Great.
Respect to Francona. Yeah. I never hated him.
Nobody has anything bad to say about Tito.
Could never. I just wish he retired sooner because, man, that health concerns all around.
Yeah, but Cleveland was paying him, so I can see it. In any case, and then the Mariners lost. Unfortunately, people like them. People like what they do, but they 2 games back. That was it. It was a good race in the West. That was really fun and exciting. And the Angels are the laughingstock of the league. I mean, it takes a lot for a Japanese player to just clean out their locker and leave. Like, people don't realize the culture of Japan. You stick it out. You stick it out completely. Right? Until they tell you to go away. Right? I mean, Hideo Kojima was kicked out the door. He would still be a Konami right now. If they just told him that. If they didn't do that,
different sense of honor and pride and respect in the workplace there.
But Ohtani, hey, look, kudos to him. Some American culture rubbed off on him. He's just like, fuck this, and he left early. He cleaned out his locker and was gone. He
pulled his best Kenny Rogers. He's like, I'm out.
Yep. So 3 weeks before the season ended, he's just, I'm done. So that was great. Yeah. All right. We are at 53 minutes. The game just started between the Marlins and the Phillies, and that's the one that's on the side here. So I am going to keep an eye on that right now. But let's see, 53 minutes or 54 minutes now. I want to take a look at my notes to see if there's anything else about baseball. Not really.
I could do an AL East rundown.
We kind of sort of talked about it, but you did get what you wanted, Charles, in the sense that
2 things I wanted.
Okay,
let's see if we figure out what the other second one is. You can do the intro.
I'm looking at the standings right now, so I'm putting it up here. So Baltimore won, the surprise team of the entire season. We'll see what they actually do in the playoffs. The Rays got spanked by the Rangers today, and we already talked about that. The Blue Jays actually made the playoffs, but really, there's nobody
frauds.
Nobody has confidence in that team. They are the most disappointing. Like they're the team that everybody feels like they're their dad, because I guess they happen to have all the kids of all the major leaguers we grew up watching, and we're just like, we're not mad at you. We're just disappointed. That's how we look at the Toronto Blue Jays, and they lost a game. And gave the Twins their first. I don't
hate you guys.
The Twins' first playoff game in the last 18 games. The Twins hadn't won a game in the playoffs since 2002 or something like that, because they kept losing to the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that was why they were very happy not to face the Yankees.
Yeah,
we would just curse them. But listen, Blue Jays, we don't hate you guys. We hate your
Leafs.
dads. We hate your dads.
I hate the Leafs. The Leafs were taking batting practice the other day in Toronto, so I could see why certain things happen. Toronto, you're not getting away that easily from the petty. But your New York Yankees, Charles, did finish with the winning record, so
hey,
crisis averted.
Yeah, God knows New York media would be uneventful if they were under 5. Like the Knicks have been under 500 for so long and so often. You know what I mean? And then I'm sure with the Islanders and Rangers in times, and the New York Football Giants and New York Jets are always 500. But God forbid the Yankees do it.
Oh, the Giants! We got to talk about the Giants a little bit later on. All right, Charles, who do I see there in last place?
There's my second thing that I got. May I? What have I been saying?
You're riding the petty dragon right now.
What I've been saying for most 3 years. Alex Cora cannot manage.
Yeah.
And I hear the excuses.
Without an Apple Watch.
Without an Apple Watch. Or without, them star players. And there's plenty of good managers. Hell, the Diamondbacks, who I can't name anybody off of. But remember, I don't like to believe in rivalries anymore. I think we're done with it. If you love the game, you just got to respect it. And I know the people say, hey, rivalries are an aspect of the game. Sure. Whatever you tell yourself. You can love the rivalry between existing players, but the concept of teams is tribalism to people who are paying money to go see teams versus other people who are paying money to go see teams. Makes no sense to me. But Chaim Bloom and all those other people, when Alex Cora was suspended,
they're gone.
You hire him back, you put the other guy ahead of him for just a cannon fodder, essentially, on a lame duck season. You dipped and dodged and ducked and dived, bringing back a guy who did things ethically wrong, and you still want to be that part of the organization because you're so desperate to win. And what happens is 2 years in a row that he's back, he can't even get you to a wild card. It's supposed to be easier, guys. And what I hear, ownership didn't want to pay big money. That's why Mookie's gone. And that's why, XYZ is gone. Homeboy that's over in the Padres of all people, Bogarts and all that stuff. Oh, yeah. But, we saw how faithful from him. And then you fell pathetically under 500. Couldn't get the people going, couldn't get the motivation in, got no pitching. Still, out of all things, is you want to shed salary, but you're going to keep Chris Sale. Make it make sense. And I know he's at the end of the run because the poor guy's always injured unless he can get it to being a relief pitcher. I don't know. Injuries are always concerning. But they're trash. He's trash. He's a trash manager. He doesn't know his lineups. He gets whooped in between. And the problem is that y'all – this is how it always is. And this is how it is in the AL East, except for the Orioles, which I'm very supportive of them, actually. But Rays fans, Blue Jays fans, Red Sox fans, you always love to bring up the fact that the biggest accomplishment in your division is the Yanks and get to the playoffs over your own accolades, and you will all suffer for it. Red Sox already in the blow-up stage. The Rays, big talk. Couldn't survive the wild card. Ain't going to survive the division. I have their playoff history now. Sorry, Andrew, you don't listen. But last year lost the wild card series. The year prior lost the divisional. The year prior the World Series. 2019 they lost the divisional. One trick ponies ain't going to make it. And the Blue Jays, another thing that just the media darlings. But remember what you love in the preseason. If you ain't got the talent and the coaching, mind you, they fired their manager last year for the new manager this year. And you lost the Twins. This is the best 2 out of 3, baby. Good luck, because the problem is it's all going to come down to in the little post rankings, pre-rankings for 2024, whatever you guys accomplish. If it ain't the World Series, which it ain't going to be, maybe Baltimore. I still think it's Houston who represents the AL, but what do I know? It's going to come down to but the Yankees have a bounce back year, and then you guys are going to be forgotten, lost in translation. That's my little beef onto it. F you, Alex Cora.
Oh, that's good. It rounds us out to an hour now. So we can do a word from our non-sponsors. People, places, things, concepts, what have you that we've been enjoying over the last week, Charles. And mine is going to be so damn sappy. But it's the Marlins for me.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
Wait till they break your heart.
Well, I got to get it in now before the game moves further along. But look, I got really sentimental over the last weekend. And, Sonic Frontiers kind of...
Heart.
Oh, man. I I did play yesterday. I got back to playing as Amy because now I'm that part of the story again. But I just I was so naive over the course of playing that in 2022. I was so enamored. But now after playing Zelda and all this other stuff, there's so many flaws with that game. Oh, but Sega, you're on the right path. Just keep going. Just keep doing it. Keep improving, guys. Take 2 years at least to actually make a game instead of 1 year, and you'll find a way. But anyways, the Miami Marlins, the Florida Marlins, whatever. The Marlins, my favorite team amongst all the teams that I cheer for. The one that I originally loved. The first sports team that I love. The team that I associate with not just baseball. But it's family and friends and just good times despite the bad times. And the Marlins making the playoffs is very impactful for us because it's only happened 4 times now. 4 times. The team is, by winning percentage, the worst in Major League Baseball. So we've had very, very, very few highs, and every time we get to that high, it's very fleeting, and a lot of lows, especially under Jeffrey Loria. And I can't wait to when he dies, because I'm gonna go on obituary.com and I'm gonna find his grave, and I'm gonna tweet out, here's where he's buried, everybody, so you can all go and piss on his grave. So that's I already have the tweet planned out. It's in my drafts.
I believe him too.
Yeah, I plan out a lot of stuff with my tweets, but being Marlins historian, doing all this since the pandemic started and everything like that, that was the start of all this, because I was kind of out of baseball for a few years, Charles. I wasn't really into it.
Yeah, it's tough when you have a mismanaged organization.
Yeah, mismanaged organization, team just kind of breaking up, changing ownership, trading away players, and life is in general, right? I was going out of law school, starting my career, and everything like that. So I just kind of fell out of love with baseball. But during the pandemic, we were all stuck inside, and I just looked back on them. I'm like, let me do this, and I fell in love with baseball again, Charles, and I especially fell in love this year with the World Baseball Classic. I mean, you saw how enamored I was with the whole tournament. I went to the final, and I was like, all right, let's get into the Marlins. I went to the most games I've been to in probably ever. I went to like 13 games this season, or 12 games.
Yeah, you were there like almost every Friday, right?
Yeah, almost like every homestand, like on a Friday, which was, after work, I would go, sit down. So I pretty much attended almost every Friday game. I went to the last game of the home regular season. And I was there. Being with the fans, and as the Marlins do better, I do better on social media. So that helps me out a lot. But I like seeing people happy with just reminiscing and enjoying this, even though they've got a guy on first and second with 1 out, and the Phillies are going to score. So I got to get this in before they start losing.
You're here for a good time, not a long time, kids.
But in any case, I associate the team with a lot of sentimental portions of my life. October 4th, 2003, it was my dad's birthday, and we went to go see them play the Giants, and it was the game of the famous play with Pudge blocking the plate at the end.
Tomorrow is Papa Cisco's birthday?
Yeah.
We're giving a shout out. Happy birthday, Papa Cisco.
Non-sponsored to my dad, I guess.
Well, we always have 2 in absence of Andrew, so there you go.
So yeah, in an extension, this is kind of towards my dad as well. And I did that on my Marlins history account too. I got sappy for like 45 minutes, like at 1 a.m. and just turn on the camera and the green screen. I was like, let me talk and just stream of consciousness. But this team, I love it. I love this team. I'm going to keep cheering for them as much as possible now, especially now that it financially benefits me after all these years. And we'll see how far this ride goes. Nobody expected anything from the Heat or the Panthers. Nobody expects anything from the Marlins, including myself. So I'll see how long the ride is. I told everybody to enjoy it for what it is, and we'll see what happens. But in any case, I'll be there next year as well. Promo code Fight and Fish.
All right. So me,
Mm.
we started the show with how trash my diet was.
Okay, I thought we were gonna go into spooky season, but
Oh,
even
well,
though
I
you've
haven't.
been
I haven't finished it.
you've been doing the Mad Dash speed run of spooky season right
Well,
now.
because we know it's coming, October 20th, like
Mm.
17 days from now, brother.
Mm.
You know, we have things, so
15 to 20
I have
hours,
to.
they say, will be that game.
Yeah, and I have the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So it should last me there in between. I mean, I'm on chapter 7. It's great. Like, I can't give Resident Evil 3 in good faith a non-sponsor. It was a 7. It was a good 7. Get it for $5 or $10. Like, I got it for 5 because, you know, your boy just never pays anything.
Laszlo.
Yeah. Well, you know, exactly, right? And I am going to continue what we do in the shadows to finish it. But you know the rule. I can't do non-sponsors till I finish it, even though I know structurally how the game's going to finish because I played it 3 times in the past life. No. We started the show with, you know, my diets and what I have to change and how I can eat trash. I'm a problem to myself, folks. I'm a disaster to myself. I cannot be left unattended to sometimes, especially when it comes to my Hispanic side. There is a spirit, an entity,
Holy
a
crap,
being.
they got out of it.
There you go. Have faith. An entity inside me called Charlo. And we explain Charlo when it comes to the alcohol, but I've never explained to you guys when it comes to food. Charlo does not come out when there's pizza. Charlo does not come out when there's like burgers. Charlo comes back out when it's greasy nastiness. And I am Argentinian Colombian. For those, you know, work is always shocked by that when I have new coworkers or anything, or people have to remember. I'm like, listen, I know I look like milk white. Trust me. It's because it always just rains in South Florida now, so I can't even get sun if I wanted to. I can't go to the spray tan stuff. But I love Spanish food. Just any way, shape, or form. I love Spanish postres, bakeries, the way they do meats. The way they do
such
chicken.
thing as diet Latino food.
No such thing as that Latino food. Thank you. I like hearty rice and beans. If the beans are juicy and runny, they better be on my rice. You know what I mean? You know, going from there. So we went to what? Rancho Nando was the name of it, right? And it's in Pembroke Pines. So I will recommend it to you. But you also have some Colombian foods that are near Rancho Nando. So you have some Colombian foods near you. But we went there, and group of people had, you know, all these things, had the salchipapas or the Nando papas, whatever it's called. So it's like salchipapas. For those who don't know what salchipapas are, it's basically hot dogs and fries, right, with some cheese on it. But this one was a little bit different. It had the queso cheese or the white cheese melt on top, split cut hot dog and chorizo. And Charles loves chorizo because it starts with CH, and so does Charles, right? Then it has the fries component, very salty, but it has small roasted potatoes.
So I'm putting it on the screen right now.
I see it. I'm watching it. I'm on the Twitch. Follow us on Twitch. Follow us on the Twitter. Charles the True, FJOJR, Dan Frijoles, sports_goofs. Follow us on the Twitter for Sports Goofs. Follow Francisco's thing, FJOJR, for his Twitch stuff, and going from there.
Sonic.
All that stuff. Watch him play Sonic, and I have to link up some things. So there's a positive and negative to Rancho Nando. The positive is the food. The negative is that the music's so loud because they were having a singer there, and she was singing out her heart.
I was, and you know, Yelp is Yelp. You can only take the ratings with, you got to take it with just a little pinch of salt to, you know, not too seriously. You have to read the actual ones, read the more recent ones with the reviews and everything like that. You know, see what people gauge, what people is, because sometimes it's not about the quality of the food, sometimes it's just the quality of the service or the building or whatever. But,
atmosphere. Yeah,
atmosphere as well. That also rules into people's reviews. So, but if the food is good, sometimes you can tolerate certain things.
Yeah, and the thing is, it was very loud, and I couldn't hear shit for like 10 minutes.
They got a photo here of like a band or something that they have there.
It was rough, man. But the food was good. So that was what I had part 1. And you know my love of Colombian food. When I went to Tampa in April, I had it. I forgot what I ordered. Like the meat was average, but the rice and beans were fantastic.
So I'm gonna go through this menu.
Yeah, sure, by all means. Damn,
bandeja paisa right now.
Well, that's what I got.
There it is. That's what I'm looking at then.
So yeah, and I sent you photos of it, and so to have people understand what bandeja is that it's carne or ground beef. I want carne, rice and beans. The beans were runny, but I was able to saute my rice with it, so it evened out. Arepa, chorizo, un plátano, which bothered me. One, I was a little bothered.
Sizable?
Yeah, but no, just one size, and then chicharrones. So
it wasn't like a big slice. It was just
not of the plátano.
Okay,
the everything
holding
else
out
was
on the
suitable.
plátanos, I guess.
Yeah, well, but you understand my love of plátano, so it goes from there. So what I need people to understand is individually. And one big fat egg, individually, and I didn't eat the avocado. You know I didn't eat the avocado. But individually, a lot of those things could be a total of $15 or $20. A good carne is $15, $20 with entrees and stuff. Chicharrones, depending on the size, and it's a fat chicha, man. And for those who don't know what chicharrones is imagine like pork crackling.
Yeah.
So the rule about chicharrones, though, and I'm Colombian, you cannot, and I've seen people eat it all in one sitting. That will kill you. You eat like one per every
how much
hour.
Cholesterol is in that stuff?
But I've seen it, and you've seen it too. Like I like.
Have you ever read a pork rinds bag?
Yeah, I know. So imagine that in one bit of actual pork crackling. But it's just so goddamn good. I can't even. And I love chorizo because I'm an Argentinian with the chorizo because I like the spice and the dried out meat. But I can mess with the Colombian stuff with the greasiness. But all that was just $22.
Oh, that sopa looks good.
Oh man, they have they have sancocho, and I'm like yeah, like with the corn in the middle and everything. But for $22, that's what I had. And then the appetizers was good for $15, and then they have like a lot of Colombian drinks. Now aguardiente, I'm gonna fight somebody, and I have my drink with the aguardiente, but it's not aguardiente. It's like a licorice spirit. Think sambuca, but more violent.
Okay, so it came in like this skillet, right?
Yeah, it came in that skillet.
I see how it is. Okay.
So you see how I hate the size of the plátano, right?
Okay.
I wanted to.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. But I could see what they were doing with like a presentation standpoint.
Yeah. And the arepa was good. I wanted more butter or cheese because Colombians are just smart. Like they'll cook it well where it's not that too hard, but it has a sweetness to it. But how do you like your arepas? I mean, you're the arepa king, man. Like
Yeah,
I mean, think you would like it.
There's depending on the flour, different ways you can prepare it, but some people want a little more sweeter, which would be more of like the yellow corn.
Yeah, and I just want the butter. But all in all, the food was good. Both the appetizer in there, I would go back to it. There's a lot of variety in South Florida.
Look at that big guy.
Yeah, right. No, I saw people with that. I'm like, what's that? Yeah, I'm like, what is that? I'm like staring at
meat and potatoes.
But that's the thing. I'm staring at other people's food, and that's something that invites you to want to go back and to see. And I think the biggest complaint I had, because it's not built like a hole in the wall, but at times it feels like a hole in the wall. So what was the hole in the wall aspect of it? I asked for a water. Do you think they gave it to me in a cup? No, they brought that shit out to me, a bottled water. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I know I'm in Pembroke, man, and maybe I don't want to drink the water, but it disarmed me. It disarmed me, man.
Yeah.
It disarmed me. I was thinking about the empanadas, but I'm not an empanada fan of the Colombian side because they just deep fry it. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. I'm used to grandma's bake shell. If they give me the option, I know we're going to do. But the thing is, it's very loud on a Saturday, on a Friday. But I would go back there. Rancho Nando, you hit that spot. Because remember, Colombian food in April. Colombian food last October when I went to go see the grandparents. I bought bandeja. And, because you can literally feed multiple people, or you can have it for leftovers. And it never tastes the same because you make your varieties. I'm hungry right now. Think about it. So Rancho Nando, Pembroke Pines was fine. Promo code Colombiano.
Okay. Yeah, looks good.
How do you like your arepas?
What do you mean by how? Like sometimes they fry them.
What's your variation?
Sometimes they fry them. Sometimes you cook it on a skillet and everything like that. Sometimes they have the machines that kind of put it in the perfect form. Yeah, I mean I like all kinds, Charles. I am an arepa connoisseur.
See, I remember when I lived in Miami, because where I lived were 8 minutes from the law school, so I was in Sweetwater. They had a pure Venezuelan arepa restaurant, and I went there many times. And then I could feel that grease and that soakness in my body each time, because anybody who has that kind of specialty, they douse it with cheese.
It depends.
Yeah.
I understand. Some people, I think. I took Andrew to one. Well, I can't use Andrew as a good barometer, actually.
He is not of the Latin cuisino.
Exactly, but I took him to one place that's close by to where I work, and he was not a fan of it. And I think maybe the grease and the textures didn't jive with him. and all of them have their way that they bake or prepare their arepa.
Side note: Rancho Nando's tostones were actually pretty good. They weren't crunchy, like too crunchy. Because that's my biggest complaint about.
Yeah, sometimes you fry it too much, and sometimes you're chewing on a rock. So yeah. I get that. Sometimes you want it to be a little bit more raw, not raw, but like you know what I mean.
Softer.
Softer because it's also kind of sweeter when it's like that. Because you're not completely deep frying it to hell. But in any case, arepas are, depending on the restaurant, sometimes they and what they use as whether they use a flat iron grill or anything like that to cook them up. It just depends. Like there's one place I went to called the Arepa Bar back in Midtown, and they were pretty good. Their arepas weren't that massive or anything like that. They were like a good portion size.
Don't have to be massive.
I know, but there are places that want them to be massive, and they kind of fill them up to the brim. You can't even really hold them, without a wrapper. So, and that's the place I took Andrew to. So that might have been too overwhelming for him. I probably should have started him off with something.
See, he was probably expecting a pancake.
Like
he saw the photo, he was like, "That's a pancake." And
maybe, maybe he looked it up. And there's another place like Doggy's Arepa Bar as well, and they do theirs. I can tell that they fry theirs, or they use a lot of oil with it, so it's a little bit more greasy, but it still has a good flavor to it. Me, when I prepare it, I use a copious amount of butter because I like it.
You understand the assignment.
And I use actual whole milk with it as well, because some people
that gives it a little bit of a rise right there.
Well, because some people can prepare it with water, but I don't like preparing it with water because I think it's a little too bland.
Yes,
and I know the arepa is a vessel for the fillings inside, but I still want a flavor profile to that. You know what I mean? So that's my thing with that. And so that's why I add butter. I add nice amount of salt and sometimes I'll go a little crazy and add some other stuff, some other seasoning to kind of give it a little something. But it just depends. I had some gourmet ones at this one restaurant. I hope they're still open. It's called Chica, somewhere near Morningside or whatever. And they had red arepas.
What? Is that spicy?
No, it's not. It's made out of beets. But it is. Oh no! It works. Okay. It works. It really works. I have to look for the recipe and give it a try, but it works. That's what gave it the red coloring. I'm like, what is this made out of? It works.
Because beets have a kick and a taste.
They do, but it wasn't like completely made out of like 100% beets, but it did use it to kind of give it the red coloring. And yes, you have the flavoring of beets, and sometimes that might be too overwhelming for people. I get it, but these were like the smaller arepitas, little like slider size versions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, that's an aside for arepas. Charles, we have to keep moving. We're at close to an hour 20 minutes now, and the Petty Dragon, you're riding it. I already reigned Petty across the entire land of baseball, but Charles, you're riding this dragon all the way to Portland right now.
To the state of Oregon. Would you like to give them the header?
Well,
because you should be just as angry as I am.
I'm not as angry as you are because...
Is it because of the fact that we had called it 2 episodes ago?
Well, I mean, I at that point, I had just been kind of joking with you, you're like, hey, we're getting Dame. You're like, we're never getting Dame. And so suddenly it just became fun for me towards the end. And then Heat Media Day happens and Jimmy Butler becomes an emo. And
fantastic.
I'm like, if this is what it led to, my husband looking like an emo, I think it was worth it not getting Dame.
Welcome to the Black Parade for sure.
But the Portland Trailblazers sent Dame off to Milwaukee and sent Drew Holiday off to Boston, and apparently Joe Cronin has a personal vendetta against the Miami Heat.
May I?
So the GM of the Portland Trailblazers, a franchise that hasn't been relevant since the Jailblazers of the early 2000s.
So for 90 days, or close to 90 days, during the summer, it was announced. Dame goes, says, I would like to be traded, and I want to be traded directly to Miami Heat. And I'm like, it's happening. I don't know what, I don't know how, I don't know when, it's happening. And I will save us the time that we were off. I'll give you guys what we was already known. We were dangling Tyler Hero. We were dangling some first-round draft picks. And then we were dangling future picks. And Joe Cronin played the stalwart. Joe Cronin didn't know what he wanted, but he didn't want Tyler Hero because, they're guard heavy already with Shaden Sharp and whoever else they drafted. Oh, if they could only find other teams to help facilitate. And this is where the petty begins, because I've talked to friends about it, a lot of friends. Because once the news came out, I have a lot of basketball-centric friends.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, but they were never going to beat Miami's package. Damian Lillard was traded, for, as you mentioned, for Drew Holiday, another player, a couple first-round picks.
Let me go and find it on the screen while you talk.
Yeah. I can hold on to thought, but I have this memorized. There was a third team found, the Phoenix Suns. Now, kids, I want you to understand something, boys and girls and everything in between. You don't have three-way trades that really happen to facilitate in the MLB that much, to my knowledge. Doesn't happen all in the NFL. Don't know how it goes down in hockey, so I'm not even going to play like I do when it comes to three-way team trades in the same transaction.
Gosh, man, I got to think of...
But
I can't think it off the top of my head. I'll figure it out sometime.
Yeah, but the point is, in basketball, it is often. And what happened was they traded Drew Holiday and a couple, one player and swap picks and a future pick to Portland.
So here it is.
Portland. Go ahead. List it off, and I'm going to comment.
So the trade between the Blazers and the Bucks. So let me get all of this right here and make sure this is correct. The Blazers receiving Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tamani Camara, and the Bucks 2029 first round pick, and the Milwaukee draft swaps in 2028 and 2030. Phoenix received Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen, and of course Milwaukee gets Dame.
May I? So you hear that, and that already doesn't sound like tiddling. I mean, good for DeAndre Ayton to get away from Phoenix, because for some reason he was the fall guy for every little thing out there.
Yeah, and he was ridiculous. A very important piece during their finals run, and kind of
it just didn't work with
drafted.
Monty.
Drafted high as well. I don't know was he a number 1 pick or number 2 pick somewhere.
I think he was a 2 pick if memory serves me right.
So,
maybe he was a 1 pick.
Had some injury history as well. He's a big guy, so you know what I mean. But yeah.
But so what I heard was everybody doesn't agree that it was a good trade for Dame. But what I heard a lot of people say is the Heat couldn't offer. All of this is a false, terrible logic, because it took not 1, not 2, but 3 teams to help Portland facilitate the trade they wanted. Because little known fact, once Portland got Drew Holiday, they flipped him to Boston for Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon. So you can't tell me that there's equivalent exchange in this. You had to use a 4-team basis to get everybody going, to flip around. Phoenix, I think, was always there as a third team. You had to get Drew Holiday off the books. You got Malcolm Brogdon, who could probably fit your rebuild. I don't know what you're doing with both Williams and I. They're the same players to me. My thought process about Boston getting Drew Holiday, because I'm going to take a dig at them, is you got Marcus Smart with a ring here. Wouldn't you just keep Marcus Smart, who you trade to Memphis? Right? That Drew Holiday is at the end game of his career.
Mentally, he's got one foot out the door already.
Yeah, he was woefully inefficient last year. You traded for him to get your ring, which you did. If anything, I think you could probably fetch better for Chris Middleton being gone. I know that sounds terrible, but I'm just saying, how you build your depth. But maybe their new coach wanted Middleton more. But it took 4 teams to get there. Something tells me Cronin didn't want to go past 3 of another team to help facilitate the 3-way trade. Because really, if Dame's acquisition was never possible with us individually, it shouldn't be. We're trading for a superstar point guard. We're offering you a max contract player who last week I gave a good analysis on why he deserved to be a max contract guy. And maybe you get Jamie Jaquez Jr. or we could throw in Nikola Jovic. But if you don't like those, shit, we got bigs. You could take Haywood Highsmith if you want him, right? Maybe we give you Caleb Martin. But if you don't feel like, I'm sure there's a third player who would look at the team like, we would take Tyler, right? I mean, listen, if Phoenix can rock KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, anybody can be guard heavy. Anybody. You just need the right mentality. There was a lot of teams there. Now, mind you, would you have Boston, Milwaukee, and Portland all working within each other, considering 2 of the 3 are in the same division? Of course not. But there's a lot of teams that are in the selling mode coming into it. You want assets, you want star players. Point of the matter is Portland was never, and here we go with the Dragons riding high on the winds of time. Portland was never looking to get back a superstar. Portland was never looking to get back a new face of the franchise. Portland was never looking to get back a star player. Portland was looking to just get rid of Dame and not put him in the destination I wanted. Now, mind you, no one is owed anything at all. And you know what? The fall in Milwaukee, of all places, is the best opportunity for him at getting close. Because not us, and I hate to say it, Milwaukee is probably a closer chance for him to win a ring or at least get to an NBA Finals than we are, right? Because God knows we're bereft by injuries half the time.
Right.
But that's why we needed him, because the point guard situation. But it just perplexes me because on paper, you want an aging point guard to trade for? We got Kyle Lowry. How come Lowry wasn't in that conversation? If you were able to flip him, but am I lying though?
Yeah. I just think about Kyle Lowry because I have it in my notes that he didn't talk to nobody during media day, and he's kind of mopey right now.
Lowry, Hero on that table. You flip everybody, go from there. Are you going to get Brogdon? Are you going to get? I'm bringing up 1 second, please. Give me 2 seconds. I bring up Drew Holiday's contract, because Kyle, I think it's just like 3 years left. Drew Holiday has a remaining, boom, 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 boom. He's just got a player option, and then he's 2 years. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. Close to the same maximum amount, 34, 37 versus, Kyle that go up to 40. And you just wanted to stick it to him, Joe Cronin, because he outright said, I'm not going to go with anything. But he did it all the right way, whereas James Harden is doing like TikTok, Instagram videos saying Daryl Morey is a liar. And this is how you want to do it. And you don't owe anything to anybody. But I think what happens is that you heard disgruntledness of Dame won't go show up to anybody. I think that was propelled by Cronin himself, because is Dame still on Portland? No. Is Dame a Heat? No. Where's he at? Milwaukee, of all places. So I'm not going to believe that false narrative. I'm going to believe the narrative is that he was just going to go take it and stick it and just say, oh, whatever. We'll leave it with Chauncey Billups to figure it out and go from there. We're going to get all these young cats who are all underpaid, and we don't know what we're going to do with him, because it's amazing. You get DeAndre Ayton, who was essentially the problem in Phoenix, but Tyler Hero was never the problem in Miami whatsoever. Guy was always, to be trade bait's a good thing. Remember that in basketball, because basketball is that one sport where you get one mercenary and then you're good. You want to know how I know? Birdman, Chris Anderson. That's all you got to know. He earned that time in Denver, went overseas, came in, poof, plug and play. Forget the whole child pornography thing for 1 second. Or even if you're getting the big 3 coming into it, sometimes getting that player could be a mercenary, right? But you were never doing that with the interest, because if that was the case, Damian Lillard's stock, in theory, is worth more than DeAndre Ayton, who has never come into that propulsion of being MVP, couldn't do anything in the finals, was ineffective the last 2 years, led to his coaches firing along with other people. Robert Williams, who doesn't score more than 10 points a game, who is never at a full-time load management for, I think they end up getting Malcolm Brogdon, right? In the finalization, how that trade goes for them. Yes. So for Malcolm Brogdon, who has been bounced around a couple years, given starter money in Indiana, then went to Boston as a 6-man, and now is sitting close to 30, getting paid like $25 million, along with, whatever picks that you have, but they're not even recent picks. They're 2029 picks, assuming that you, Joe Cronin, and Chauncey Billups are still going to be in that position of power. And 6 years. So why wouldn't you pick up the Jovic? Why wouldn't you pick up Jamie? I can't ever say his name. Jaime, Jaquez, Triple J is what we're going to call him, or maybe a sweetener if you're taking Hero and you can have Shea Sharp and go to a 3-guard assignment. But someone would take, Cleveland maybe if there's concerns about what's his name not come back, Donovan Mitchell. If they have to come from there, you always have to think of back pocket. Because remember, my theory with Dame was you could still kept him on that team this year and then trade the following year. Okay, but maybe not there. But you don't think the Knicks would want to play in the hand of Tyler? There's no one out there who's on that team who's a 3-point shooter. If you want to, because they weren't trading into the West. And that was the other manipulative thing that Cronin was doing. Not a Western team. To Phoenix, sure, because they were a trade facilitator. It's not like Dame went there.
And it's not the same division. Either.
Yeah, they were able to offload that contract value because they were lacking. They were hampered because they're paying KD, Book, Beal, and Iden. You can't sustain on that. So you got guys who are going to help your rotation. I think actually Phoenix came away with a king's ransom because it's perfect. Because you're not going to ask that unit to be starters. You're asking that unit to be the second unit. Everybody that you traded for, along with Yusuf Nurkic, who I like. I know he's overpaid, but whatever, right? You build into it and you just say, hey, you're going to be our second unit, or you're Nurkic, you might be our starter, and that's it. But you didn't want him in a full out conference in your division or in your conference. You didn't take anybody there because it was impossible. But I don't think when the Heat were saying, hey, can you do something? Because we can't try to facilitate with other teams. Say, hey, we really want him. Can you do that? You have to accept that. You have to go from there. And I think it was a total slap in the face. And it's business. Did Dame end up in a better situation that he could have possibly expected? Absolutely, because you went to Milwaukee, where you have one legitimate superstar, a face of the NBA. Chris Middleton, hate or love it, right? It's right there. But you have a very good chance, because the worst thing that could have happened is poor Dame could have been on like the Sixers, and I would have to hate him eternally. Or he could have been at the bottom of the barrel teams, like in Orlando Magic, right? There's nothing guaranteed to it. And that could have been terrible. But Joe Cronin, and my rent's almost coming to an end, but Joe Cronin, there was all the vindictiveness and violence and villainy to it, all the V's, you virgin. And I don't like you. I don't respect you. I have great distaste for you. I hope all the worst things happen to you as a GM that doesn't involve bodily harm and to the state of Oregon. I hope you decide to extend Chauncey Billups for 5 years. I hope that you're still around to go to the 2029 pick and realizing that first round picks 6 years in the future mean nothing. And you're like, damn, as Dame has like 2 back-to-back titles and you got nothing. I hope DeAndre Iden, just wants to force a trade out. I hope Robert Williams leaves you, because that's the thing. Williams is on a contract only for so little time. And that's the other thing you have to consider. You have Iden for another 3, right? But all this can come to naught, and now you're just the guys that you trade Dame for, you're just trading it for other pieces down the line to the future. That's how it fails as a GM. But who you trade for, you want to keep and preserve and build around, and you got nobody that you could build on. You're very confident for Scoot and for Shaden to be those guys, but you draft them in the same position too. I hope in the entire state of Oregon, there's nothing special about you. You're just trees. I hope you get a Republican governor who is like Tommy Tuberville level of far right wingness. I hope that you get acid rain. I hope Nike and their child labor laws are found to be in violation, and that everybody decides to find a moral compass and burn their Nikes. I hope straight up that you get acid rain. I hope people realize that euthanasia is wrong against the morals of God, and then they revert that stuff. I hope the Supreme Court intervenes on that, even though I'm actually for their left-leaning policies. I hope the federal government strikes down on you, says you can't do heroin here. I hope that all that hippie love and that fest that comes in and goes from there. I hope Smokey the Bear abandons Oregon. I hope the Oregon Ducks lose to Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes for the next 5 years. I hope that Blockbuster is just bought out and fried out because no one has a VCR. I hope streaming overtakes it. I hope Deion just kind of builds and goes to the Ducks from there. I have no more nice things as long as Joe Cronin is still there coming into it. Like legitimately, you can't even talk about because no one's saying that this was a winning trade. No one's saying this has potential. You will purposely, I hope that your purposes of tanking comes to be founded and you lose some of those first round picks that you traded for. I hope you lose that 2029 pick because Dame was healthy and you sat him because everybody who's been following the show for 5 years knows how much I wanted Damian Lillard. Francisco knows. he made me a fan of Portland. I would stay up and watch his games because that's the best thing about basketball versus baseball versus football for me. I cannot watch those 31 other teams in footballs. I can't. That's a lie. I can watch 18 of the 32. Some of them I can't watch the Giants, man. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
I can't watch Cleveland, man. Jesus Christ.
Man, the primetime games, we'll get to the petty trade.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Baseball, I can't watch half of that stuff.
You don't even know who's on the
Playoffs,
Diamondbacks.
Yeah, exactly. Basketball, I have like 4 teams I won't watch. Ironically, Minnesota Timberwolves are out there, even though I don't hate anybody. I just find them to be very boring, and I need them to suck. They've been the running joke when I said they've been bad for many years, and it goes from there. But Dame got me on the West Coast, man. Game started at 10 o'clock. I'm tired. I got court the next morning. Not even just postseason play. I just need to watch it. And it was dwindled, and you took that away, and that's what's so special about basketball. Because I understand that everybody hates the fact that the inmates run the jailhouse, but not a single player in football or baseball on a team I don't support makes me want to watch them. I think who's your superstar highlight guy now? For you, it would be Tua, right? If Tua wasn't on the Dolphins anymore,
Patty Dragon's coming.
Yeah, well, here we go. But if Tua went to go play for the Chicago Bears, you're not going to go watch the Chicago Bears.
Nah.
Patrick Mahomes might be electrifying, and I like him on the Chiefs. But if he went over to the Steelers, who are in quarterback quandary, or to Atlanta, I'm not going to watch him. I'm going to go just watch his full team. See it on Sundays. Use on the red zone. Dame was that kind of player. Kawhi Leonard couldn't make me watch you on a West Coast thing. Kawhi Leonard's weird. He couldn't make me watch Toronto. I'm like, I acknowledge he's fine. And he's just my prime example of what it means to be a stud and a superstar and a super stud, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to being mercenaries, I can't even watch the Clippers game, but no one's healthy enough to be Clippers game because basketball could be mercenary. So that's why I talk about Dame. Could he been the lethal assassin? I felt like he could have, man, because what we've been needing for the last 4 years was a youth-ish point guard to facilitate offenses and take over, because Goran he left by the time we could have been there, right? 2020 was injured.
Goran's in the stands.
Yeah, he's in the stands. Just decide, Goran. Just decide if you love us or not. I can't. The 7-year itch is killing me.
We just don't want to sign him.
Yeah, and I have been just always against the Kyle Lowry sweet cheeks. I just have. Yeah. So that's why I hate it. But Joe Cronin, state of Oregon, all that would change as long as he's not there anymore. But he's at least going to get in a 3-year window. Why? Because ownership is weak and they have to own that stuff. But I hope
he's boys with somebody.
Everybody's boys with somebody.
I think he has I think he has some sort of like minority stake or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you know what, man?
Marlins
I hope they do find something. I do hope. Wasn't Cronin also part when they switched out C.J. McCollum and they traded him? Maybe. I don't know when his administration fully started. I'm going to check it because I have to do it. But I hope they do crack down, because that was sitting. It wasn't like the year prior where Dame was hurt. This time he was hurt going from there, or he wasn't hurt this time around. They were like, okay, well, we want to manage your we want to manage your stuff. You want to manage your health. You want to go from there. All right, so Joe Cronin was put in there May 9th, 2022, a day that will live in infamy. A day that will live in infamy. I don't think you guys understand the pain, because what did I tell you? I'm not going to Miami Heat game until I get Damon. Now I'm not going to have that.
Second Joe Cronin is at the tower.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. I mean, it's almost as much of a tragedy for a South Florida fan base, because you know what the problem is? During this whole standoff, it really felt like the Heat against the world. So many people want to say that we weren't good enough, and then did not acknowledge the fact that we went to the finals and we beat all of the best getting there. We beat Milwaukee, who had the best record. We beat the Celtics, right? And then we beat somebody else because my brain's already fried out and I can't think about it. But it was Celtics, it was Bucks, and who's the last one?
What, during the
finals run?
Oh, last year? The Knicks?
The Knicks, thank you. Yeah, we beat the Knicks. I mean, that wasn't even a fight. I'm sorry. Yeah. But that's like, we beat all these beloved metropolitan, big name areas as an AFC, right? Coming into that, doing things unfounded, unprecedented, unwarranted, and it was unwanted by you guys. And you're telling us our players are trash. You're telling us the depth is trash. We lose Vincent, and we lose what's
Caleb.
his name?
Caleb
we
Martin?
have Caleb. No, Martin's there.
Max Strus.
Wheelit Strusko, who I don't care about.
Yeah,
I'm impassionate. I forget if you don't matter, I'm not going to remember your name. And then we lose in a well-deserving ass whooping because no one was saying the Heat were going to win. And there were some times of those games where like, man, if we had a clutch guy, if we had a guy who could just take over. Jimmy was tired and washed. And I just think about what the pick and pop of Bam and Dame could have looked like with Dame and Love, because Love, I love the move to have him, and he's still going to be our fifth starter coming into it as a center. He's just going to play in between. I think him and Bam are going to switch up. He's only going to get like 25 minutes a game. I think it all was taken away from me because you know what? With Dame, it's just the rich getting richer going to Milwaukee. Truthfully speaking, it is. I think there was confidence that Milwaukee could have gone to the finals and succeeded and won on what they had alone before they traded for him. Plain and simple, because you did it the year before or 2 years ago. However, with us, it was the missing piece, and I hate you so much, Joe Cronin. No nice things, no nice words. You look like Jason Kidd if he got fat. I'm looking at your face right now.
Oh my god!
Like seriously, I just want to shave your beard so everybody can see the walking testicle that you are.
Oh my god!
I just hate everything.
I love how
you.
Mine was just a complete curse word tirade, and you have a curse actually like once this entire time. I love it. Oh man, complete different opposite ends of how to be petty. Well,
I hate him so much.
We're at an hour and 41 minutes, so we have to hop on the petty train. It'll be a little quicker ride this time because
I hope Oregon succeeds from the union, and then it's just left on their own that fails. I don't want my tax money in any way, shape, or form.
There's some weird characters in Oregon, and
I hope Joe Cronin goes on the Oregon Trail and gets dysentery. That's my last bit.
Well, let's head on over to the petty train, Charles. So, choo-choo. Here we go.
Choo-choo.
So, NFL scores. I'm going to go down the list. We're not going to go as deep into it, but the petty dragon is coming out because I'm going to start with this game now because I want to get my thoughts in the Dolphins versus the Bills.
Oof.
So, I wrote to you when the Dolphins won last week against the Broncos, 70-20. I sent you a specific message. I need the Bills to stun on these hoes.
You did.
Because
I think that was legitimately what he put in there.
I needed the Bills to stun on these hoes. I am the most pessimistic Dolphins fan out there. I am the Grinch of Dolphins fans. But right now I'm a petty dragon. And everybody drinking the Kool-Aid right now.
Big time.
Now, mind you, yes, it's very impressive, the offense of the Dolphins, doing all kinds of schemes, especially the running schemes, right? Raheem Mostert is the real MVP of this season so far.
I mean, Devin Achane, man.
Yeah. So,
Machine Achane.
The A-chain on the A-train, whatever you want to say. He's been great, too. No need for Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, no, not at all.
But I noticed some flaws. Things aren't perfect. They barely beat the Chargers. The Patriots found a way to make that a game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Denver Broncos are ass. 30. I'm going to say that's 30. The Denver Broncos are definitely ass.
Very much so.
The Bears are more ass.
Sean Payton is the Aaron Rodgers of coaches, and I feel accurate in that, and that will come in our party.
So, I was like, I need them to actually play a real NFL team. And yes, the Bills lost to the Jets week 1. Weird shit happens, 31. Week 1 of the NFL season. Sometimes
y'all
it just
can't
does.
care about 1 week?
Yeah.
1 game?
Right.
First game of the season?
Especially with only
Football's already
1
too
or
long
2
as it
preseason
is.
games, that's it. So really these games
on a punt return.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Really, week 4 is like the real week when everybody's got their legs under them. So the game starts, and look, it's exciting. These guys are going blow for blow in that first quarter, or that first quarter and a half, really. Dolphins put up 7, and Bills put up their points as well. It was going back and forth, and we got a tie game. It's 14-14. But then things start getting away from Miami because
big time.
The Bills, credit to McDermott, who's more of a defensive specialist. In any case, they found a way to crack Miami's schemes and get to Tua. His brain was intact throughout the game, at least. But they got to the Dolphins to the point where the Dolphins could only put up 20 points. And when you compare that to what they've scored in the past, it's like, okay, they actually did hold down their offense. But my ire isn't with the offense, Charles. My ire is with Vic Fangio.
Mm-hmm.
Vic Fangio. And I'd heard this offseason, they're bringing in this guy, Vic Fangio. He's a defensive guru and genius. Every time the Dolphins bring in a guru or genius, things are about to go really bad. The complete opposite is about to happen. And I've seen this time and time again with Dolphins coaches and coordinators. You're bringing in this guy. He's this guru. He's this genius. He's the reason why X team or X player was so good, and that's why he's coming here. It's like, no. Like Adam Gase. Adam Gase was the quarterback guru because he worked with Peyton Manning. Really? Worked with a Hall of Fame player that was already a Hall of Fame player before he got to where he was? No. So Vic Fangio, who was the head coach of the Broncos before, and they didn't do shit, right? Mm-hmm. So that's coming in here, and it's like his defensive schemes, and he's going to be great. All right, what happened in the Chargers game? That was a complete slugfest. You barely held down the Patriots. The Patriots, if they actually had a competent quarterback, would have won that game. Right? The Broncos are shit. Once again, 32. So that game is not really a factor. You play a real team with a real offense, with a real quarterback and real receivers. Look what happened. 48 points. I feel like the Bills could have scored more if they wanted to.
Could they have gone with the 70?
So, and that would have been really funny. They did suffer some injuries throughout the game, but, it's the NFL. But regardless, I was so happy. It made my weekend. It capped off a fantastic weekend for me as a sports fan.
You lived it.
I am the worst Dolphins fan out there because I've said it before. I think I do enjoy seeing them lose more than they win because it's really I'm in Miami. I live it now down here, and how much they get attention and everything like that. When my poor Panthers and my poor Marlins don't get any of that same attention, even though the Dolphins haven't done shit in 50 years. 33. Shit has been my favorite word. 34 throughout this entire time.
Well, does it count as a curse word if you're emphasizing the word and you're evaluating it?
I guess so, but I mean, man, and it was just great to see the Bills starting on these hoes. Is hoes is that a curse word? That's not really.
No, I don't.
No, I ain't counting it. All right, man, I kind of wish I was kind of like Riley in the Boondocks.
Yeah, no, you're the teacher in the that of the Boondocks.
In any case,
how does one borrow a French fry?
Are you gonna give it back? You know what I'm not gonna say. In any case,
let's
in any case,
we're not Joe Rogan.
That was great. I needed to get that. I mean, the Petty Dragon came out after that one. After that happened, the Petty Dragon was completely out. All right, so that game happened. Let's run down this list. We're at hour 49, and now we're gonna stop with the Titans game, especially to get insight on that. But Lions and Packers, Detroit wins.
Hey, there you go.
All right, Detroit. Good job, guys. Go win that division. Because somebody's got to. Jacksonville beats the Falcons. Falcons are not good. Not a good football team.
At all. Neither team.
Yeah. But the Jaguars, and it was in London. It was weird.
With Toy Story.
Toy Story, yeah. I saw it. It was weird. It was
Disney's just doing everything.
Yeah, it wasn't as fun as like the Nickelodeon game.
Yeah.
With like the slime and all that stuff, because like I think they copied it. That was the concept that they copied. But Nickelodeon felt more because you're mixing, organic, and you're mixing it with the actual NFL players. Seeing like generic looking toys running around isn't exciting.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like Woody and Buzz and all those guys being the actual players, but no, they ruined it. They screwed it up like Disney's been screwing up a ton of stuff lately.
Like they screwed up Toy Story 4.
I didn't even watch it. I don't even feel like watching it.
I have strong complaints on it. All I can say about that.
The Rams beat the Colts 29-23 in OT.
Puka Nakua, man. Let me see what happens to him when what's his name comes back.
Yes. Baltimore put Cleveland in their place, and it was very fun to see.
Yeah. No rape Sean Watson, but you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Screw the Browns.
Indeed. So that was good. The Vikings beat the Panthers because everybody keeps making fun of quarterback. But I mean, I don't know if you saw the Barry McCockner video, but
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. In any case, he makes fun of the quarterback for the Panthers. So
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he has nobody to throw to, man. Terrence Marshall Jr. and Adam Thielen's leg.
Tiny hands. I don't know.
Tiny hands. You leave Mini Me alone. He can do it.
All right. But the Vikings won. They had to win a game somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield.
Listen, it's every other year. We have statistically talked about it. You know, for like every other year, we find ourselves hating Baker and then supporting Baker.
I mean, now I'm full on Baker right now.
Yeah,
Baker.
Yeah, because it goes to show that he was a first-round pick, the number 1 pick overall. So isn't it great if he just leaves Cleveland? Cleveland's in dire
helps a lot of
straits.
people, really.
He got unceremoniously sent to the Panthers, and then Matt Rule doesn't know how to run a real team in football. That's why he's over in Nebraska. And so he just gets shopped around and he just goes to Tampa. And I'm like, this guy's pretty good. They have no running back, just Rashad White, but like he knows how to throw to Evans and to Goodwin, sure, or Godwin, sure.
Yeah. The Broncos beat the Bears, that was a pretty funny game.
Bears tanked.
Yeah.
That's what they're tanking, guys. They're tanking. Sean Payton's a fraud.
Philadelphia beat Washington in overtime.
I don't feel very confident in that team.
First real scare of the season, and the NFC's the weaker conference, and the Eagles might win it by default, and they get smacked in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, NFC divisional, man. Jalen Hurts does not look onto the play, and then A.J. Brown can only bail you out so often.
Houston beat Pittsburgh.
I like what Houston's doing.
You know, Stroud.
Yep.
Looking good.
Yep.
I love. Okay, Barry McCockner said, the Houston Texans finally drafted a quarterback that wasn't a sexual assaulter for the first time in franchise history.
Jesus fucking Christ!
So I'm thinking about David Carr and those guys.
Yeah, well, Derek Carr just finagling, I guess.
David Carr, not Derek.
David Carr. I always get confused.
Yeah,
David somehow finagling, and we just don't know.
I just cracked up. But yeah, CJ Stroud is looking good, looking fun. The rebuild is all right. I mean, they're in your division, so they
there's no such thing as a real rivalry.
I know there's no rivalry, but they're in your division, and somebody's got to win it. And Houston,
we shall win it.
You say that.
I say that.
You say that.
I have to have confidence. Listen, man. When it comes to the battle of mid, call us midway, okay?
Mortal Kombat.
Exactly.
A lot of good classic games. And, all right. The Chargers beat the Raiders.
Almost lost to the Raiders?
Yeah.
They need Austin Eckler to come back.
Staley's getting fired.
49ers
beat the Cardinals. That, I mean, is what it is. 35-16. The Niners are good. They put up at least 30 points every single one of their games. So, Cowboys beat the Patriots. They spanked the Patriots 38-3.
It's not even fair to defend Mac Jones, because I find myself defending overrated white quarterbacks lately that look so boyishly young. I can't explain it. Maybe I have a type that I don't know about when it comes to quarterbacks. You actually have to have like receivers to throw to, and Kendrick Bourne and Devontae Parker, and Hunter Henry. I'm not saying that you could have gotten a top dog, but I'm gonna defend him just a little bit. Just a small little schmeckle. Just a schmeckle.
The Chiefs beat the Jets.
Speaking of defending
all right.
white bread quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He still fumbled it.
Yeah.
He played well because he saw Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce's mom. That's the running joke that I like so much about it. The Chiefs are more, I got concerns for them too, but they'll find a way if they just go into running. But it goes back to also what I talk about all the time with the Jets is that who is on your team that's going to help any quarterback? Allen Lazard went like 3 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. That's fine. But Garrett Wilson was just kind of nominally there, put into check. It's just that O-line is still terrible. These big signings of Dalvin Cook and then Breece Hall returning from injury couldn't amount to any kind of rushing. And they're still going to blame him. And I get that because, yes, he did fumble. So you have to put the blame in there. But you are not a built, well-produced team. And I'm gonna bring up to you stats and analytics every time we talk about Breece Hall, 6 carries, 56 yards. Dalvin Cook, where I feel like if he was anywhere else, it'd be great. Only 5 carries, 16 yards. And then Garrett Wilson, 9 catches, 60 yards. Allen Lazard, 3 receptions, 61 yards, only targeted 3 times. And Wilson's just targeted 14 times. Guys, it's common sense. Common on. You did not build a good team, just like the Mets. You just put a couple which you deemed as star players to being the way, and woe and behold, you were wrong.
And man, Oreo's got to stop advertising me on the algorithm because it's too tempting. And the Marlins are losing 3-0, so good thing I got my good feels in before that started happening. And the last game before we get to the other game is the Giants, the New York Giants are just terrible.
Dude.
They've only scored 15 points if you take out the Cardinals game.
How is Brian Dabble head coach?
Well, he's boys with the GM, so he's not going to get fired.
No, of course not.
It's not going to be fun right now.
Because white coaches have longevity in the NFL. I said it. I don't care. I'm just saying it.
So, Seattle, 24.
Aren't you supposed to scheme, man? 10 sacks.
Yeah, it's real bad. There's no real answer right now.
And I'm not a Daniel Jones defender, even though he falls in the same crop of groups.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, he fixed the demographic of Charles's favorite types of quarterbacks for some weird reason.
Well, really, it's just the draft class because Mac and Zach came from the same bit, and then Jones was like 2 years earlier. But I didn't like Jones and Duke. I saw him play ACC, man. You see certain things, you know what I mean? And I think that he was so special, and they should have just, not signed him. Because if you can just let a star quarterback go and get somebody who has Geno Smith-esque capabilities, you can just spend the money appropriately. That's what Seahawks did, literally. Yeah. And both teams are better off. I don't know who would want Jones. And look, he makes a lot of errant throws and he turns over stuff. But the thing is that you sign him for the big money. You should just franchise tag him and then just try to spend on receivers. Because the same logic that I gave for Mac Jones, I'll give to Daniel Jones, the Jones brothers, right? Is that you got to have somebody who's capable of throw to, and you have Wan'Dale Robinson, who this is his first real season when last year he had an injured ACL. You got nothing else. You got Darren Waller, right, who can't do anything because you don't make good offensive schemes. I don't know what to tell you.
Finally, your Titans beat the Bengals.
Ooh, a little bit of revenge, baby.
Yep.
A little bit of revenge.
We have our first Henry Handy.
Yeah, that too. And, so the Henry Handy, if you guys need to remember, is anytime it's past 100 yards, a touchdown, and a win. Well, we had 122 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 throwing, one
rushing, 1, Mm-hmm.
And we got the W, and I'll take it. But this was sweet revenge for the first round AFC exit that we had 2 years ago, where we were a better team than the Bengals were. This is the year they went to Super Bowl. We were a better team, but Ryan Tannehill got in the way, and also Todd Downing at that time was OC, and you just know. This is also like our first time of forever getting past 21 points, and our defense is just so goddamn good. I know you guys want to always be like, well, Joe Burrow has an injured calf. It's not my fault that Zach Taylor is negligent to his players. I'm sorry. So let him out there and we can feast on him. But we're talking about
set him.
Yeah. Like, let's make excuses, sure, but let's put some blame and accountability because, you know, I'm just saying.
At some point, these NFL coaches or these teams got to figure out, because once again, there's less preseason games, so these guys have to go much faster. I think some teams really do need to think about, like, hey, let's not pack it in, but like, let's.
Can I give the hot take?
I mean, you can, but I just want to finish the thought. Just
go ahead. Sorry.
That you know, guys are injured, that type of thing. I think they can you can sacrifice a quarter of the season, then see where you're at and bring guys back. I'm just saying that that's doable, especially like the AFC North. I mean, yeah, maybe Baltimore will get away from you, but you can still get a wild card spot pretty high, especially if you believe you have the talent with, you know, a great quarterback and everything like that. But now, you know, Jamar Chase is pissed off and all kinds of stuff is happening. I mean, okay. Anyways, go ahead.
And I agree with you, and I acknowledge that as well. But here's my other thing. Mike Shanahan created the precedent where it's okay just to keep putting in injured quarterbacks to play.
And then they die. And then RG3 is, you know, man, I wish he had a great career, man.
Yeah. You know, intelligent, charismatic, never got accused of raping anybody.
Good. Yeah, you know.
But Mike Shanahan laid he was doing it with Elway too. Elway was injured in those
But he was old at least by that point. So and you just run Terrell Davis into the ground and that's it.
Yeah. but Mike Shanahan said I don't really have respect for Mike Shanahan. I acknowledge what he did for the game and everything, but all you do is make, you know, running plays not go north
Terrell
south,
Davis
but just go
carried
east west.
You into whatever career you had.
But that created this precedent where it's okay just to like tell your guy not to. Like a calf. Do you guys know what the calf and what kind of ligaments and everything is surrounded by there? There's your Achilles. There's other tendons.
Everybody's, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, a calf strain. Like, guys, you guys allow this to happen and you support it. But back to the Titans, because you know what? I'm sick of this. Is every time Titans beat somebody, it's just the emphasis on the other team. So what we did. Beat that ass. 5, 6. Beat that ass. 7. Right? Shut down Mixon. Shut down Burrow. I don't care. You know, you want to say he's injured, shut him down. I've seen other guys do injured things too. What can I say? Peyton Manning.
You're paying him that much, and you're expecting him to be there for like 10 years? Yeah, you could pack it in for a season. Look what the Rams did.
Shut down Jamar Chase. T. Higgins got hurt, unfortunately, but shut down, right? Tyler Boyd ain't nowhere to be seen. Zach Taylor doesn't have the pulse. I'm taking it because the AFC South is wide open. I think we're better than Jacksonville. They are not beating a low brain Desmond Ridder, who I have called a fraud.
Low brain. I don't know why that hit me so hard, but it's funny.
Did you see those throws that he made?
Just low brain is just a funny phrase.
Well, it's me.
You can't say the other word. I get it, but still.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even going for the other word. That's just how I look at Desmond Ridder.
You were.
But you know that. But he's got a big forehead, man. What can I say? But you know, but even with Calvin Ridley, just look at it. Just please open up a picture of Desmond Ridder and see if I'm lying. Right now, you're on the Twitch, and then you can evaluate it.
Let me go do that.
I'm going to hold that thought for 1 second. But you know, the Jaguars are not clicking on offense. Low brained. I'm just looking at them right now.
Is that even a term?
You know, it's a new term. We just coined it.
We're gonna sell T-shirts with it.
Low brain, Urban Dictionary, term used as a person with IQ lower than room temperature. Okay. I don't know that, but I mean, it
why
fits.
That headshot, Desmond? Not with that smile. Don't do it with this smile. Do you see this one?
Yeah. His hair is leaving him, man, just like the ball leaves his hand.
Just shave it. You have the head
like
for
24.
it.
That's the problem.
So what? Some guys go bald. It's fine.
This is why I don't wear hats anymore, man. But I'm not concerned about Houston, truthfully, because they have to face offensive juggernauts. I'm not concerned about Jacksonville. I'm not concerned about Indy. Not when Anthony Richardson goes to like 11-23. You ask me what I feel about us. It goes back to what I say the last couple of years. Are we the team you just want to play in the playoffs? Because we're going to be a pain in your ass if you beat us or not. And that's what it is. Low brain. Jesus Christ. So that's why I got there. DeAndre Hopkins has been a gift. He's not going to hit 1,000 yards this season, but you know what? If we can get him to 800, 900 yards, Traylon Burks didn't even play the game because he was injured. But I'm okay with 2-2. We should really be 3-1 because we should have been the Saints. But, you know, at that time, Mike Vrabel lost his balls at home. 8, maybe.
No,
not balls. Okay, sure,
fine.
Sure, okay. Apparently, there's a rumor that Urban Meyer is going to interview for Michigan State's job, and I'm just like, ew.
Oh, that would be funny. Michigan State needs more controversies.
Right. It never ends.
Oh my God.
I can't say it. I can't say that. That school has suffered enough. Those girls have suffered enough for me to make a joke about Urban Meyer.
Yeah. Well, 2 hours and 6 minutes, Charles. That's the end of the petty train. That's the end of the ride for this week.
It was a good time.
Yeah. Well, let's head on over to the cage.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Your weekly Truplex, The Cage with Charles. Full disclaimer, wrestling is not fake. It is scripted. It's a stage fight. It's a song and dance. It's poetry in motion. It's about men and women trying to beat the holy hell out of each other, establish your legacies, chase championships, and you know what? Just get that TV time and have a feel-good story and feel at home. And, man, there's a lot, actually, that I got to go on. And I'm going to start with AEW because we just got to get out of the bag. Wrestle Dream was in Seattle this weekend. It was a new pay-per-view that they had put in Seattle because, you know, they're adding up a little bit. I think they're trying to get that advertisement money. I think they're trying to get that HBO Max money. So you need more than just 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year, right? So they had Wrestle Dreams in Seattle. A lot of their most notable wrestlers are from Seattle. Swerve Strickland, who I mentioned, Darby Allin, who I've mentioned, Nick Wayne. I'm not fond of him. More on him later. But they had the pay-per-view. I wasn't going to pay $50 for it. It was on Sunday. I was doing laundry at that time when it was going on anyway. 2 matches I wanted to see were there, and I swamped the chat with it because I didn't watch NXT No Mercy Saturday. I watched it yesterday, except for the main event, but I knew who won the main event because Twitter, you could never be free from it. And my ADHD and my fight of boredom is always going to cause me to watch something, so I got to spoil the ending, but it was expected. But Wrestle Dream, you know, had a couple highlights of the matches, quick rundown of what the matches were and my reactions towards it, and then we're not counting any pre-show stuff. And then we'll talk about the thing that happened. So MJF in a handicap match defeated the Righteous Dutch and Vincent to retain the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. Okay, how long are we going to do this? Are we going to have it where Roddy Strong, you know, freebirds the rules a little bit, which means anybody can kind of come in if they're part of the stable and hold it till Adam Cole gets healthy? Because Adam Cole legitimately broke his ankle again a couple episodes ago of Dynamite, just running down the ramp, man. Accidents happen. Eddie Kingston successfully retained his Ring of Honor World Championship and Strong Openweight Championship for NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, against Katsuyori Shibata, who I like. Some highlights were good. Chris Statlander defeated Julia Hart. I heard that was good, but they only gave it 9 minutes. That's the problem with the Tony Khan pay-per-views, is the fact that with AEW, you have all these matches. There was like 14 matches on the card, man, in like a 4 or 5 hour span, and some things get kind of shortchanged. What are you gonna do with it? As I'm watching NXT now, and they have Lola Vias, who makes my heart hump a little bit, you know, just tumble, and they're doing the women's NXT breakout tournament. Wrestling's a weird sport, guys. That's all I could tell you. It's sports entertainment. What can I say? The Young Bucks. This one I didn't really even want to concept and watch. The 4-way tag team match for a number 1 contender shot. Young Bucks beat the Lucha Bros, Bullet Club Gold's Gun Club, and Orange Cassidy and Hook. Okay, fine, skip on that. Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Page. Yes, this is going to be more than just one match that comes out of it. But, you know, Swerve cheated and then hit him with the belt and then was able to do a lot of other stuff with it, hitting 2 in the houses and JML, MF Driver on Hangman. It helps propel Swerve into some main event scenes. It helps. I don't know if they're going to have Jay White win or lose against MJF when the time happens. It could be Swerve that gets a chance into it. It also helps put Hangman to an interesting storyline because I felt he lost a lot of steam, with his feud with the Blackpool Combat Club, because I felt like when you choke out Moxley with a noose, that should be the end of the feud, right? Apparently, that's not the case. Swerve wins. I'm happy with it. Ricky Starks versus Wheeler Yuta. We already knew Ricky was winning, so I'm not going to even go from there. Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. with Jon Moxley on commentary is hilarious. Danielson won. This was a match of the best technical wrestler. Danielson beats him by pinfall instead of making him submit. So at the end, Sabre's like, hey, man, you owe me a rematch because that was one, you didn't beat me the way you said you were going to beat me as the best submission wrestler. Maybe I'll pay for that at Wrestle Kingdom or Forbidden Door. I don't know, but maybe. Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita, Will Ospreay, and Sammy Guevara beat Chris Jericho in the Golden Elite. Pass. FTR beat Aussie Open. I heard mixed things. I heard the crowd wasn't fully into it because they lost him because this is match 13 out of 14 coming into it. FTR retains the titles. Mark Davis, Aussie Open, breaks his wrist in real life. Who knows what's going to happen? Then we get to the main event, TNT Championship. Christian Cage going against Darby Allin, 2 out of 3 falls match. Two things happened in this match. One, you knew Christian was winning. You just got him the title last week effectively in a triple threat match between him, Darby, and Luchasaurus, who's Christian's boy. I'll have to give that backstory if the turn happens at some point. Two things I had gripes with. I'm happy with Christian winning. I think I sent you some highlights of it that didn't include the big name coming in. So Nick Wayne, who's a Seattle native, interfered and turned on Darby in the middle of the match.
I'm showing it right now.
Yeah, and then Christian ends up retaining it. And my problem is that AEW's roster is loaded. It is now loaded with homegrown guys. It's loaded with free agent signings, and it's bloated a little bit and loaded with legends, such as a person we're going to be mentioning soon. So Nick Wayne is an 18-year-old prodigy. He had been signed to a contract when he was like 16, but they had to wait till he comes to school, goes from there. And I feel like it's a lot of how do you like your eggs, right? Omelets, scrambled, over easy, plain with Cholula. And I don't see what's so special about him. I've actually watched some of his matches, and I did watch the Defy Wrestling guys. I saw his matches with Swerve Strickland. But my whole thing to do is to do a turn, to have him in the story, to have him align with Christian when Christian already has Luchasaurus. I'm like, couldn't you just have Christian just beat Darby like already kind of clean? It's like the ring mat's up and everything like that. Did you need the betrayal? Are you going to build Darby and Nick Wayne? Does anyone really want to see that? And I understand the reason why Nick Wayne maybe had betrayed Darby is because when Nick was getting jumped by AR Fox and Swerve Strickland, Darby was forgiving AR Fox. Sure. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Maybe I'll come back to it, but I appreciate it because the thing is that I really wanted the match to end. Not because I thought it would have been a bad match if I viewed it, but I knew who was coming. Because the minute they said Christian is going to be in the main event, I said, well, before Christian Cage was Christian Cage, he was Christian, part of the Brood in WWF that later became WWE with Gangrel and a certain man named Edge. That Edge that you talked about, Charles, who had to retire in 2011 with all the vertebrae all bust up and everything, and then came back. That Edge who, when you were on break, wrestled his last match at WWE because his contract was coming up, and he was given the whole thing of like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Yeah, that Edge. Why do you ask? Well, at the very end, apparently WWE did not get the Metalingus licensing rights or something. So the rated R superstar Adam Copeland, Edge's real name, came out, hit him, and then go from the
Jets fan.
The Winnipeg Jets fan. I like Edge. You guys know I like him. I have no problem that he went to AEW. He should make as much money as he can at 46, 47 as possible. Here's my problem with it, why I hate it. There was just one match, one feud left that I wanted, and I didn't even like his booking this last year. The Judgment Day feud went too long. I felt Finn should have went over on him. His last couple of matches were like title shot match. They weren't even like full title shot matches. They were like number one contenders, and then he went out with Sheamus. Hopefully he gives Sheamus the rub. Edge is a great performer, a great promo, an interesting character arc. Can get you connected emotionally. He's an actor. I wanted him to feud with Kevin Owens. We know I love the big fatty. They're both from Canada. Kevin Owens and Edge, Owens has said that Edge has motivated him, did everything like that. I just wanted that one feud. I wanted to put over Owens because I felt like if Owens beat Edge in that storyline, it would catapult him into untouchable main event status. Not that Owens is not in the main event level, but I'm talking about main event title holder level. That's all I want. That was it. I want to see the promos. I want to have the emotion. I want the story. If Edge was to return back to WWE, it's not happening. That's the only match left that is one, because I think Edge in his final run with WWE hit all the marks of the dudes I want him to wrestle against. Seth, Roman, Finn to a degree, did some cool stuff with Dominic and Rey to help Dominic's turn. There was nothing else. There was, however, one match missing. It was in a triple threat match, if you remember from 3 Manias ago, because God knows that's how time flies, when it was Edge versus Roman versus Daniel Bryan, who's now in AEW as Bryan Danielson. So I am reinvigorated by him going there because I can finally hopefully get that Danielson match. I would like to see him against Kenny Omega. I would like to see him against Hangman. I would like to see him against Will Ospreay. I don't know how that style is going to work, but I'm interested. Moxley and going from that. But there was the petty side to me. And one of my favorite memes I've been doing for people when they have success, and I don't think I could feel jealousy in life like that. And there's some things I do feel jealousy, and I won't say it here at all on a public radio broadcast on the.
Can I ask you something? I'm going through it. I'm seeing people's posting him coming out on the Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
But I saw somebody comment here that he came out of the heel entrance tunnel. Interesting. Is there like etiquette, or not etiquette, but like certain areas that certain people come out of that indicate?
No, it's
I don't know.
AEW sometimes has it. The old school stuff, like old NWA used to do it too. WWE doesn't do it, but there used to be the heel tunnel and the face tunnel. I honestly never pay attention to it because there's dudes who've been like
the Blackpool, a curiosity. I just saw him. Is there like a certain thing,
Like the Blackpool Combat Club can be heels or faces depending what the story is. They're tweeners. That's how I view it. So he's there, but that meme that I always have, which is like, nice, congrats, happy for you, like the little kid. That's my energy towards it. So there we go. So that's how I put into it. But good for him. Let it happen. He's going to start wrestling full time, is what he says. So fine, okay, sure. I'll watch it because I want him versus Bryan. That was what Vince couldn't put into play, and now Tony Khan's going to give me what I want. Tony Khan, maybe some salt in the wounds. Are over. Maybe we can be for this. So we have that. That's going. Okay. WWE time. NXT No Mercy. I watched the majority of it last night. So here's my thing about NXT, even though I'm literally like watching it right now, but it's because I had to stop doing the wrestling game because I knew I had a bigger segment to talk about. I don't religiously follow NXT like I used to because I feel like I can get a lot of the gaps that are missing in the promos that come up in the pay-per-views that lead you up to it. There's some good stuff into it. I always encourage people to watch wrestling because these are people who need support and money, and the more wrestling that is being watched by all the programs and companies is better for business, right? It's the same thing about the movie theaters, right? We can always get the sequels to the movies that we want, Alita Battle Angel, if you just go and see the damn movie. That's a good ass movie. I'm just saying you guys need to see it. Buy the DVDs.
I don't know. I think I saw it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, I did see it. I did. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem. No one went to go see it because you guys want your Marvel movies. It's just not even worth it. I don't care about Loki season 2.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I don't care about Loki season 2. I don't like Loki. He's a bad guy. Let's start. Just because Tom Hiddleston is handsome doesn't mean we should support him, but that's the wrestling effect. Roman Reigns is super handsome, and men and women are watching him for that. Shit, I got a little man crush on him too. Curse word number 11. NXT No Mercy, instead of 14 matches on that pay-per-view, there were 7. Baron Corbin beat Braun Baker in a fun match. That was good. There was some interference with Robert Stone. Trick Williams beat Dirty Dom Mysterio for the North American Championship. Remember, so Mustafa Ali was supposed to beat Dom at this pay-per-view for the North American, but they fired him, or they released him from his contract. So Trick got it, but they're having a rematch tonight in the main event of NXT, which is probably going to happen in about 10 minutes once we're done the show. So we'll see if that happens again. The family retained their tag titles in a 4-way match. I could not get into that match. It did not pass the phone test, and I don't know why. And when we say the phone test is that if I'm always looking at my phone during the match, right? Like there's some matches I'll put away, but sometimes you have to casually kind of get there. Noam Dar beat Butch in the British Rounds Rules match for the NXT Heritage Cup. One day I'll have to explain, but it's 5 rounds and 6 that they have to go to overtime. it was okay. You know, I wasn't fully in love with it, but I liked the ending. Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes was sexy. I still think the first match was better from a couple months ago, but what happened was Dragunov beat Melo, so he's now your new NXT champion. I love Ilya Dragunov. I think he's a talent. Him and Gunther had my match of the year, 2 years ago at their NXT takeover. I like Carmelo Hayes. I think he's a special talent. He needs not much work left, I think, to pop him into the main roster. They just kind of have to actually develop stories for people, and we see. But Dragunov was the right choice. I think he'll lead it. He's very brutal. He's basically the Gunther / Walter of NXT now, where he can be both good on a promo, good on the image, give you a holy hell of a match, and matches up well for everybody. And I did not watch the Becky Lynch-Tiffany Stratton match, but I know Becky won. So there we go. Last thing, FastLane this Saturday, 8 p.m. on Peacock. $6, guys. Just go and pay it. I don't know if I want to watch it, dude. They did Ciampa and Gunther last night. It was supposed to be for FastLane. Why would you take away greatness? You had a dime piece talking to you. No alcohol or drugs induced. He or she found you interesting for who you were, and you couldn't pick up that they were into you, and you didn't pull the proverbial trigger and get that number. That's how I felt about Triple H. Paul, what are you doing, bud? All of us leaving that off the card because Gunther is the most established champion on your roster. He's better than Roman right now because Roman's not defending anything, which is fine because when Roman does show up
lately, man.
Hardcore. Years. Yeah, but like you're just seeing the evolution. I'm getting 4 to 5 star matches. He's made the IC belt prestigious. He's got the look of a villain. I can't wait for him to just become my world champion. Some guys find him bland. I'm like, get out of here with that nonsense. You know, but he is your most entertaining champion on all the champions out there. And you had the dime piece, bro. You were in it to win it. But, you know, what happened was it was just a little bit outside your range. You're like, I can't do it. I couldn't make the drive. I could do this. And you didn't realize that they were in it to win it because you weren't in to win it. So FastLane is now, I don't know, man. Like, you know, it's Saturday. I could be playing Resident Evil 4. I could be watching movies. My buddy wants to watch it because that's how we bond.
We might go get some food, possibly.
We might go get some food, you know, but it might be Sunday.
Yes.
You know, I got to see how it all plays out, my schedule. It's always weird. You got to let me know, and I let you know. That's all. That's what I hate about being 34 years old. I got to get like pre-appointments to see friends and family.
Man, he's
the look.
Huge. Like,
yeah,
I see that slap and I'm like,
and he's lost so much of that weight, you know, because when he was Walter, he was a big boy.
He's still got some love handles, but he's a very massive looking dude.
Yeah, that's all Bond villain, man. Mm-hmm. So matches and predictions, because, you know, I always have to do what I gotta do. John Cena and LA Knight teaming up to go against the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. You know, LA Knight's going to win. He's probably going to be the guy who pins it. They're going to catapult him so he can at least challenge Roman, which is good. Because what I mentioned and what I have said is not having Roman there and then going against guys, whether he beats them or not soundly, whether there's interference or no interference, what you need to do is going to help reestablish the main event. Who do you have on the SmackDown roster? Bobby Lashley's feuding with LWO and Rey Mysterio. So, you know, that's not happening. And the only other one's AJ Styles, who they kayfabe gate injuries to. So this allows you to kind of elevate some guys to the main event challenge matchup. That's what you got to do, and that's how you ought to do it, and build into it and go from there. I'm not trying to laugh at NXT because they did something that made me laugh, but when it's on the Twitter, I will send it to you because I almost busted out laughing coming into it, and I have to keep character. Io Sky versus Asuka versus Charlotte in a women's triple threat match. I feel like Charlotte's winning. She always wins like a triple threat match. Like Asuka and Io Sky had a very good match on SmackDown. Charlotte could put on work with anybody, but she's always like put into title matches. I'm like, but why? Can we not put her into a storyline without titles? We'll see. I'm going to skip that match so you can hear my venting. LWO versus Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I call them the Black Line. They're well suited, but, you know, no one's picked up on that name yet. I'm going to trademark it. I love them. Bobby Lashley and Street Profits win because that's going to catapult a lot of the feud.
I feel like we could make a shirt, but I feel like WWE is very litigious.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they are. They're going to be like, what are you doing? That or someone's going to be like, did you call them the Black Line? Because I'm like, no, I call them the Black Line because when they all introduce, they're wearing like black turtlenecks, dude. Like, that's where I came from. literally. And I'm just like, all right, but everybody's got to take it too far. And I'm sometimes on the mouth of the South, and that gets me in trouble. So do you want to hear? We'll hear my pain because it's just been a disappointing week. So let me add the disappointing match last. World Heavyweight Championship: Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura in last standing match. I don't care for this match. I don't like Seth as champ, dude. He should have lost it to Finn, and then you could be teased about Priest cashing in the Money in the Bank on Finn or whatnot, because that was the better storyline. Their first match was fine between Shin and Seth last month's pay-per-view at Backlash, I believe. Was it Backlash? No, it wasn't Backlash. It was whatever it was. It doesn't matter. I'm coming into it. I'm losing my train of thoughts because I have it now, and I get to talk about it on the show, so I couldn't do it. But FastLane, and I just wasn't crazy about it because how it ended was just so sudden. So then they get a rematch, and now you're getting a last man standing coming into it. I'm like, okay, payback. It was bothering me. I had to do it. But now you're doing last man standing, and the problem is that you could sell me on Shin winning that title if he becomes a work rate champion and he immediately loses it to a face, such as like Ricochet, and you could have it be more about like boxing doesn't really have characters. I like to tell you that boxing has characters. Same way of how like UFC has characters, right? But really it's just about sometimes the best guy gets lucky. The problem with wrestling is we create this divisional setup of low card, mid card, main event, and then jobber. And Shin has kind of, every time he's had a title, he's never held a world title in WWE. Other places, yeah, like New Japan. But every time he had like the US belt or the IC belt, it wasn't really defended. He was off TV. I think it's because Vince doesn't know how to utilize somebody who doesn't speak English because, that's Vince, right? So they were building certain things. But if you have him be like a work rate champ for max of 2 months, maybe, it puts a little prestige. I've been liking what he's doing with the promos because what Hunter's doing is just let him cut the promos in, Japanese and just do subtitles. Makes sense, right? But, Vince was never that guy. But the thing is that you got to have it with a clear path to somebody else holding that belt. Because I don't think Raw has a baby face that you could take off of Shin. I think Seth needs some time off because there's the big rumors of a certain Punk coming back to WWE because now that his contract got terminated and they're doing Chicago for Survivor Series in November, and Seth is that guy. He helped out build a good feud for Edge. He helped bring back Cody to some prominence. Why couldn't he do CM Punk? If the money's right, anybody can, go into business, right? It's that logic of anybody can buy me a drink. Anybody can, if the money's right, anybody can pay me to wrestle. Who knows? Who knows what CM? I mean, Vince is no longer in charge. I don't know if he likes Hunter. Who knows? We all grew up. He's in his 40s. Maybe it changed. He has every right not to like Vince McMahon. But maybe does he want to do a clean slate? I'm just saying. But the problem is that if Shin doesn't win, and Seth just beats him in one match and then beats him another one, what are we here for, right? What are we here for? What are we doing? What's the build up to it? How do we keep Seth to be more interesting when the storyline for 2 months was Shin going and say, I know about your back. I know that you have vertebrae that are broken. I know that you've been injured for 4 years, and I'm going to take every opportunity. Because a last man standing match seems opportune for Shin to actually beat him without having it to worry about being clean or dirty. You can use weapons. You can do whatever you got to do. You just got to make sure the guy doesn't get up to the count of 10, right? But if he doesn't win, then it all was worth nothing to me. And then let's talk about the last match about worth nothing to me. I'm over the Judgment Day. They have go home heat. I'm over Finn Balor, Damian Priest. I'm never over Dominic Mysterio because he's a heel, you know what I mean? And it's all that stuff. And I'm over Rhea Ripley because she doesn't defend the women's title. Like, and it's how they're booked. I understand that. Wrestling is scripted, guys. I'm sorry. But they're always on Raw, every hour on the hour. It doesn't float my boat. And now that Finn and Priest are the undisputed tag team champions, that means they hold both the titles for Raw and SmackDown. And they need to split it because tag team wrestling is damn good if you let it happen, Hunter. And you're not letting it happen, Hunter. Can you please let it happen, Hunter, without it being just the one sequence? That's the reason why you have to split brands, man. So you would think that, okay, it's Judgment Day. They've been feuding with Cody, Sammy, and Owens for a while. They just brought Jey Uso over to Raw. Maybe we're going to get something where Judgment Day can defend the title against a different tag team. And they're like, Charles, we heard you. Hunter's like, Charles, we heard you. You don't want the umpteenth rematch of Judgment Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? We got you. We got a new team for you to go into. I'm like, oh, is it Alpha Academy, a tag team on Raw? Oh, is it possibly one of the other guys from LWO because it's a 5-group stable? So maybe you have that going from there. The possibilities, they're endless. Would you even contemplate, perchance, doing Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, Hunter? And they go, no, we're going to give you a tag team. But it's the first time they're ever going to be teaming up. I'm like, what are you talking about, Hunter? Tag teams. Why can't we get established guys with finishers? And what if I told you one of them is going to be an Uso? I'm like, what do you do with putting Jey Uso? He's main event, not tag guy. He was just leaving the tag guy. He was just challenging at SummerSlam for the main title. What are you doing? And he goes and says, what if I also gave you Cody Rhodes in that tag match? That's right. We're going to give you Judgment Day defending the tag belts against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. And I thought I had a minor aneurysm when I heard that. Because why are we giving tag team? I understand for the purposes of the story, because either Drew McIntyre is interfering because his heel journey is beginning now, and he's going to turn bad. Debatable. I think he's more of a realist because everybody's like, why did we want to help Jey Uso when he's been screwing us over for 3 years? Understandable, but let's not get that twisted. But it feels like a shoehorn way of bringing in Cody because Cody, I felt, has been in the mud. Because I think the big announcement is that to bring over Jay to Raw, Cody's got to go to SmackDown. And that can get you into the propulsion of, Cody and Roman finally. Because I think Roman actually drops that belt before Mania. Just saying. However, more importantly, it's just that I don't like the fact that we're going to do a tag team match with these makeshift tag teams. Because at the end of the day, even though Finn and Priest are in a faction, they're not as often tag teams the way I would think tag teams. If anything, I would think Dominic and Priest are more appropriate as a tag teams. It just so happens that Priest and Balor were the ones who won the tag team belts. And you're going to give me Jay and Cody when I know damn well Jay and Cody ain't winning them belts. And if they did, I would really just shoot myself because Vince had this bad trajectory, man, of makeshift tag teams beating tag team champions. Braun and Seth are an example that came into it, where they have no repertoire, no build, whatever they just build into. What happens is for story purposes, because at that time, 5 years ago, Seth was both Universal Champion and the tag team champion with Braun, but Braun was number 1 contender. See the recycling here? Vince must be back, but Cody's in the mud, man. He's too bland vanilla, and I remember he's a callback babyface where it's, take your prayers, drink your milk, and take your vitamins. But I can't, man. I need a little bit more. I need a baby face that fucks, man. You know what I mean? Like, you got to give me something. That's curse word number 12. I need more excitement because gone are the days you could only hold on to the fact that Cody tore his pec all those years ago or that he was screwed over after Mania. Sometimes you do have to have short-term memory, and it is a what have you done for me lately business. But, yeah, he beat Brock, but Brock looked better on him. And then you ruined Brock's momentum. Cody's momentum by beating Brock twice by just having him. He wasn't there for payback. He introduced Jey Uso. Now he's in a tag match. Brock, who is always, anytime you beat Brock, you're main eventing something, man. You're not going for a mid-card title. You're not off the pay-per-view. At least fake an injury with Cody. That's what makes sense, right? Juice's match with Brock, even though he won, Cody has to take time off because he has like an orbital fracture. Make a lie. It's scripted. Not this garbage. And I've been telling you, I've been kind of out of it lately with Raw and some of the other stuff because of nonsense like this. So just like Joe Cronin, just making me hate certain things. Hunter's making me hate the Judgment Day, but they're putting Cody Rhodes into it. And I like Cody. I actually do. I don't like how Cody's booked. Mm-hmm. It's not the way I want my eggs done, man. And that's all I got for you this week on The Cage of a very petty episode. Double Dragon was a very appropriate title.
Indeed. Well, the Marlins are losing 3-0.
At least you got it out.
Zach Wheeler has thrown 73 pitches in 6 scoreless innings.
A former Met. Look at that.
And it hasn't been going great so far. Jesus Luzardo gave up 3 runs. The bullpen's kind of been holding it together, but the Marlins just cannot get.
And you don't have bombers, do you, to get you on base?
I mean, we do. We have Jorge Soler. We have Josh Bell. We have Jake Berger. We have Jazz. So we have them, but Zach Wheeler's really good at pitching.
Yeah.
So
he's a wheeler dealer.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the playoffs. I mean,
I literally forgot that Fat Boy Kyle Schwarber is on the Phillies and that he is just ass but he can still hit bombs.
Yeah, he's got more home runs than singles. So
let us emphasize on how baseball is just as fake
8
and imaginary as
something.
wrestling
I
is.
forgot how many you're at, but
His batting average is 197. Oh, I'm at like 12 or 13. 197 for the season, but he has 47 home runs and 104 RBIs.
Yeah.
Guys,
that's all that matters.
this is the reason why hitters get paid.
Yeah.
Because you go up 4 times, sometimes the time that you do hit the bomb could be the winning run or put you up in the lead.
Yeah.
Or the tie.
I mean, it's basically Joey Gallo with the Twins and with the Yankees. You guys just couldn't handle it.
No, if anything, I would think it's more appropriately it's Gary, but I think Gary Sanchez is actually on the Twins right now still.
Maybe.
I'll have to check.
On the bench? I have no idea. But
yeah, he could ride the pine all
in
day.
any case, that's it for us. So I don't know. Maybe I'll care about baseball next week. I have no idea. But take care, everybody. I'm out. Bye-bye.
Take care.